cost of a trip to Las Vegas. Alan is countersuing for vandalism to his vehicle.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 149 on the calendar, the matter of Gilhooly versus Nelson.
Thanks, Byrd.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Gilhooly, according to your complaint, the defendant was your boyfriend. You lived together for a period of time. You no longer live together, no longer boyfriend and girlfriend, but you claim that he owes you for a car, that he owes you for half of a trip to Las Vegas. The defendant says that the trip to Vegas was a gift. He doesn't discuss the car, which you have. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And you are counterclaiming because you say that Miss Gilhooly, in a fit of rage, vandalized your car to the tune of $4,700.
That's correct.
Okay. How long did you live together?
15 months, Your Honor.
15 blissful months. When did it start and when did it end?
We met in January and ended April 28th of this year.
Now tell me about the car.
Your Honor, I purchased the vehicle on January 12th.
And you say you purchased the vehicle.
Correct.
I'm reading between the lines in your complaint when you say you purchased the vehicle. Am I correct that it was supposed to be his car, but he was supposed to pay for it?
Correct.
You took out the loan?
Correct.
Down payment? Who put down the down payment?
Basically, Your Honor, it was a cashier's check. It was paid in full. I took out a personal loan, and the car was purchased by a cashier's check.
And the car was to be his car with monthly payments being made to you to pay back the loan?
Correct.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
And how much was the total amount of the car that you paid?
The vehicle was $2,700.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 93 GMC Jimmy.
Did you pay her back?
No.
Why not?
Well, I was paying the payments until August 20th when we broke up. She
said you broke up in April.
Well, April 28th is when we broke up. Until then, I made payments all the way until April. Last payment I made was April 10th. And then April 28th, when the vandalism was done to the vehicle, I had to get the vehicle fixed eventually.
I see. So the vehicle that she vandalized was this vehicle?
Yes.
So you decided not to make any payments on it?
Not until like I owed her anything because she vandalized my vehicle and did the damage.
Gotcha. How much did you pay totally on the car?
I gave her $300 totally towards the loan on the vehicle.
Is that right?
He gave me more, Your Honor. He made 3 payments of, I have it out to $410.
$410. You see how honest she is?
Okay. Yeah.
So that means that you still owe her $22.90 on the car.
Right.
Now tell me about the trip to Las Vegas.
Alan and I were scheduled to leave on a Friday afternoon, and he did not get his paychecks in time. And I stated to Alan, I'm going with or without you, because I was meeting family out there. And he stated to me that he would pay me when I got back.
Your arrangement with him was you would pay for his plane fare.
We drove, Your Honor.
So what kind of expenses did you have when you were there?
Hotel, restaurant, gambling fees, things of that nature.
And what was the total amount?
The total amount for the Vegas trip came out to $1,869.13. I'm asking for $934.56.
Now you tell me your version of the Vegas trip.
Well, the Vegas trip was, I really didn't want to go because I'm pretty busy with my work and stuff. And she wanted me to go, and I said, well, I really can't afford to go, and I've got to keep my job and keep busy because we had kind of a slow winter this year. So she goes, well, you come out because she wanted me to meet her family. All of her family was going to be out there. And she goes, well, we got to go out there, and I want to go out there, and I want you to come with me. So I said, well, how's this trip going to work? And she goes, well, I'll take care of it. If you can pay me back, you can pay me back. And if you can't, you can't. That was the arrangements. But then at the time...
just a second. Hold on a second.
Okay.
So she said, I'll take care of it. And if you can pay me back, you'll pay me back. And if you can't, you can't? Is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What kind of work were you doing, Mr. Nelson, at the time that you went on the Vegas trip?
I was working in the heating and air conditioning business, which I do. I do new construction. Plus, we were remodeling, we were finishing her basement in her house.
What work were you doing, Mr. Nelson? You may think that you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
You don't.
Okay.
When was the Vegas trip?
The end of March, Your Honor.
The end of March of this year?
Yes.
Who were you working for where you got a paycheck or cash every week or every 2 weeks?
My job.
Well, what was your job, sir?
Doing my job, heating and air conditioning construction.
Heating and air conditioning and construction.
Yep.
Are you still working for the same company?
I worked for a few different builders.
Is this your busy season?
Yep.
This season?
Yeah, summer.
Summer is your busy season?
Yep.
Is it busier than it was in March? Or the same?
About the same.
Good. So that you can pay her back. The contract was you would go on the trip to Vegas, and according to you, if you can pay her back, you will. And if you can't, you can't. But you can, because you have a job and you have money, so you can pay her back. Right? Perfect. So it wasn't a gift. You just told me what the terms of the contract were. You got it, Mr. Nelson?
Yep.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She asked me, well, I want the keys to the truck. I said, no, you can't drive the truck, you're drunk. And then she just started going crazy on my truck. The key in the vehicle, pulling on the, bent the antenna, broke my wipers off.
Did you do anything to his antenna?
I bent it, but I put it back.
And later today,
I worked 6 and sometimes 7 days a week in order to make ends meet.
And who was taking care of the children when you were working?
She would be there at the house during that period of time.
And if she wasn't watching them, someone would have had to have watched them. Right?
I could have taken care of that too.
I'm sure you could have, but you didn't.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah Gilhooly says her ex-boyfriend, Alan Nelson, owes for the unpaid balance on a car. Alan says he stopped paying after Deborah vandalized the vehicle.
Tell me about the vandalism to your car.
Okay, here's some pictures, Your Honor.
No, tell me about when it happened, sir.
Well, we were at the bar on April 28th, 2002. It happened about 5:30. I ran into a few friends at a local bar that I hang out in where I grew up. And Debbie doesn't like the person that I met. She got angry. She had a few beers in her. She was intoxicated. She went off and sat in the corner by herself at the bar. And we didn't talk for 30 minutes. Then she came back to me. And then she asked me, well, I want the keys to the truck. I said, no, you can't drive the truck. You're drunk. Oh, no. And she goes, no, my little brother was there. My brother Kevin was there. My brother Kevin was there. And he offered to give her a ride home. So then they walked out. And then she just started going crazy on my truck. And then she comes back in the place and she goes,
What do you mean start going crazy?
She just started riding over, lipstick all over, key in the vehicle, pulling on the, bent the antenna, broke my wipers off. And I got pictures to prove damage.
I'd like to take a look at the pictures. Did you damage his truck?
I wrote on the vehicle, yes, Your Honor.
Did you key it?
No, I wrote with the ballpoint pen.
Well, if you wrote with a ballpoint pen, that means it scratched it.
Right, but it wasn't a key. Sorry.
Keyed, wrote with a ballpoint pen. Well, you can't do that.
I understand that.
Did you do anything to his antenna?
I bent it, but I put it back. I'm sorry.
So what does your car need? A new paint job?
Yeah, I have an estimate here for you, too.
The estimate better be a real cheap estimate, sir.
Oh, I got more damage. There's still more pictures.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You paid $2,700 for this car.
Yep.
You think I'm going to let you paint it and fix it for $5,600?
No, I didn't ask for that.
You think I'm going to let you paint it and fix it for $4,700, which is what your counterclaim is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wrong. In whose name is the car titled?
My name. And right now there's a loan against it.
Really?
Yeah.
For what?
I had to pay for the transfer case and transmission went out after her and I separated. And I had to take a loan against it to get it out of the shop. And it was $2,600 and I borrowed $3,000 against it.
Somebody gave you $3,000 against a $2,700 car?
Yep.
That's why banks are failing.
Can I see the evidence as far as that lien? And
Sure. I'll show you the pictures. Do you have the lien?
I
I
also,
don't have a lien with
I
me
also
now,
have pictures too.
But I have
Your Honor.
pictures too of this more that I want to show you. This profanity that's on the vehicle.
She wrote all over your car.
But 42 years old? That's, I mean, a 17-year-old kid wouldn't even do that. I mean, come on, she's 42 years old. Come on. How
old are you?
27. How mental stable is that?
What? You probably did the wrong thing.
So take it out of my vehicle, then I got to drive around this
No.
vehicle that says F you all over it, all kinds of profanity all over it. I got to drive it all over the place.
What? It's a car that you don't have to drive anywhere. You didn't pay for it.
But I did do work for her in her house. I did remodel. I did do the basement.
Were you living in the house?
Yes, I was.
How much rent were you paying?
I was paying whatever I could afford to pay her. But then I was.
Listen to me. That's not an answer.
Okay.
So you worked off your rent?
$10,000 worth?
Yeah, well, you know, some people are more expensive than others. Ms. Gilhooly, you see, your problem is that he owes you $22.90 for the car.
Correct.
He could probably get the car painted and buffed out or whatever, so it would look reasonable. At least he wouldn't walk around looking like a large profanity sign, you know, for $500, $600. Or maybe he did. Did you have it painted, by the way?
No, I haven't done it yet.
So you're driving around with a car that is really terrible looking.
Your
Yeah.
Honor, he buffed out the word liar. I have pictures of that, too.
He what?
He buffed out the word liar. You got that out of the vehicle.
Well, you know, when you have a temper tantrum, you got to pay for your temper tantrum.
I understand.
And your temper tantrum's got to cost you some money. So I'm issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,624. I have deducted the $600 so that Mr. Nelson can get his car painted,
Yes, Your Honor.
modestly painted. And I suggest that you both go, be happy. You have had no contact since April?
A little bit, not much.
What do you mean a little bit, not much?
We're trying to set up appointments to meet, but it's over. I've got my life's been on. My life's went on. I've got a kid on the way, so
Got a kid on the way?
yes,
When?
it's due February.
Oh, when did you get married?
I am not married.
Wunderbar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
You may step out.
And I helped the investor make her house go up and her value of her house go up and everything, about $30,000, and then I still got paid paying $2,600 some odd dollars. I don't think that's fair.
I would have liked to seen the vehicle back, but oh well.
She's psycho. She has mental problems.
He's a basic idiot.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Toller versus Falk. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Renee Toller is suing her ex-boyfriend, service technician Bobby Falk, for an unpaid loan. Bobby says the purpose of the loan was to get Renee out of debt.
Miss Toller, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you live together?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
From when to when?
I think I moved in with him last year, around June. We planned to have a baby together. I got pregnant 2 months later after I went off the pill. He got a summons to court to go.
You're getting way ahead of yourself. I asked you a question. When did you move in together? You said June.
June.
June of 2001.
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you move out?
Moved all my belongings out the morning of April 13th.
It is your claim that during the time that you lived together, you took out a personal loan so that Mr. Falk could pay some back child support.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, my ex-mother-in-law took out the loan for us.
Your ex-mother-in-law.
Yes, ma'am.
You
My
have other
children's paternal grandmother.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
And when is this baby expected?
In 22 days.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Renee Toller says the father of her unborn child, Bobby Falk, owes for a loan. Bobby says the loan was taken out so Renee could clear up her debt.
Now tell me about this loan. Did you agree to pay back your ex-mother-in-law?
Yes, both of us did. Bobby said he could pay it off within 90 days. He had 2 vinyl siding jobs coming up.
What was the total amount of the loan?
$3,500.
And how much of it was used to pay his child support?
$2,600.
Was that money given to him?
Mm-hmm.
By
Yes.
whom?
The loan was deposited in my bank account. The money order that paid his child support came out of my bank account. And I have the papers here.
Let me see.
Here's
Are
the
you
loan.
paying back the loan?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, while we lived together, we both paid it back. When I moved out, I called Bobby to ask for help to pay on the payments.
Okay, just 1 second. So while you were living together, you were both paying
We
the loan.
both paid it. Uh-huh.
It's not your allegation that he owes $2,600
No, it's
anymore.
$22,48.93. That's the remainder of the loan.
And how did you arrive at that figure?
That was the remainder of the loan.
Well, it was the remainder of what loan? The $3,500 loan that you took out? or-
$3,500.
Well, but you only gave him $2,600 to pay child support. Mm-hmm. Where did the other money go to?
I'm not sure exactly what we did with it. We may have made a house payment with the other $900.
Well, I don't know either, but that's...
I don't either.
Well, if you paid back...
Together, we paid back the other $900 already.
I understand that. But if some of that money was not used for his child support, he's not responsible for that other money. So far, is that correct, sir, that you paid back $900?
I think so, yes, ma'am.
Were you working?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And you were working?
Till 5 weeks before April 12th.
5
I was
weeks
working.
before. So from September until March, you were working. Fine. Did she pay money to your for your child support?
I think there was some money paid, yes, ma'am.
Do you know how much?
Not right offhand, ma'am.
Does $2,600 sound right?
That could be.
Oh, there you go.
However, I was the only sole breadwinner of the family there for quite a period of time. The period of time that she says she was working is not correct. She did not work the entire time she said that she worked.
Well, when did she work, sir?
Well, on a weekly basis, you've been 2 to maybe 3 days a week.
But you were living together as a family.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to go into 2 or 3 days a week and you were working 5 days a week. You paid back as a family $900 towards this loan. However, there is a substantial portion of it, or at least a big piece of it, that was not used for your child support, which is what she's suing for, $2,600. According to my calculations, if you acknowledge that this loan was taken out, at least 2/3 of it was taken out for your child support, you originally owed $2,600, and I'm giving you credit for $600, which is 2/3 of the $900 that was paid for, which comes out to $2,000. Now, you want to explain to me, sir, why you don't owe $2,000?
Yes, ma'am. Like I said, from the beginning of the time that she moved in with me, we were both working on the same job for construction. She had problems with being out in the sun, out in the heat, so she very seldom was able to work on that job. Soon after, she got a job inside of an apartment complex in an office. During that period of time, I worked 6 and sometimes 7 days a week in order to make ends meet. You keep in mind, I have 2 children, she had her 2 children, and the both of us was in my house, which meant that I was the sole breadwinner, more or less, for the entire group.
Were your children living with you?
For the biggest part of the time, yes, ma'am. At that point in time, they were.
How old are they?
I have a son that's 8 and a daughter that's 13.
And who was taking care of the children when you were working?
She would be there at the house during that period of time. Yes, ma'am, while she was asleep, what have you.
Whatever.
So who was watching my kids?
Whatever. You weren't there. Someone was watching them.
Somebody had to work.
And if she wasn't watching them, someone would have had to have watched them. Right?
I could have taken care of that too.
I'm sure you could have, but you didn't. Keep going. I'm still waiting for a reason why you don't owe $2,000 on this loan.
Well, I feel that if things was to be fair, then we could look at as to what money was spent as far as paying everybody's bills, my bills, her bills, and taking care of everybody else that was in the household at the same time.
Why should she be responsible for paying your back child support?
Nobody said she was responsible for it.
Well, she is responsible for it if this loan
something
is
she
her
chose to do on her own.
What?
That would be something she chose to do on her own. I never signed the first piece of paper for that note.
No, but you agreed to pay it back.
Did you get a notice from Child Support Enforcement that you owe this money?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did the notice from Child Support Enforcement indicate that unless you came up with this money, they had several alternatives? One was your arrest, one was taking away your driver's license, and they gave you the whole menu of possibilities?
Yes,
that happened, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course it did. So you had to come up with the money,
yes,
right?
ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
All rise.
Now, this is case number 44 on the calendar in the matter of Fowler versus Broom. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Fowler, you are suing the defendant for some child care that you provided during a 3-month period from September until December.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that you were paid. Did you know her before you started to do this child care arrangement with her?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How?
I met her in the summer of 2000. Her son was over to my house, and he had stole some money, so I had to go and talk with her about it. He admitted stealing the money, and...
How old is your son?
He's now 13. And then again, he was not the only one.
But that's not the child you were
Right.
babysitting for?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Then on September the 10th of 2001, I went to Tarzana Elementary School to pick up my daughter, Cayman. And when I got there, her daughter, Kylie, was with my daughter. And she was crying, and I asked her what was the matter, and she said that
She's
she was
lying.
upset.
I don't want to hear.
She said that she was upset because her mother hadn't come to pick her up yet. So I called her mother on the cell phone and let her mother know that if it was okay, I would, bring her home. She said she got off at 6 o'clock. At 6:30 when she got to my house, we entered a verbal agreement for me to begin watching her child.
Well, what was said? She must have said something to you. Can you watch her regularly?
Yes, she let me know that her daughter was on the waiting list for Latchkey, which is an after-school program.
Until then, you know, she didn't really have anyone to pick her up from school. I told her I could pick her up, you know, each day with my daughter. And she said she would pay me $6 an hour. I was picking her up at 2:30 each day. And I began on September 11th actually providing child care for her. Then on September the 14th, Ms. Broom approached me with paperwork from a company called CC&RC and asked me if I would enter a contract with them. They are a company that provides assistance with child care payments for single parents. I filled out the application and everything and then began to wait. One of the things that I mentioned to her, in order for me to be able to watch her child, I would have to enter her child into programs that my child was entered into, tap and ballet classes. Here are the receipts for the ballet and tap classes that I entered her daughter. I paid for them, and Mrs. Broom reimbursed me.
Good. Okay. Did you get paid at all from Mrs. Broom?
Not for child care, no ma'am.
Nothing?
No ma'am.
Well, what was her excuse? You watched the child in September, in October?
When I filled out the forms for the company CC&RC, they were going to be paying me the money. I received the first contract from them on October the 23rd, and I noticed that the rate that they were offering to pay was $2.84, which was not the agreement I had with Ms. Broom. Ms. Broom, when I brought the contract to her, she said, well, don't worry about it. I will reimburse you. I will pay you.
Why hadn't she paid you anything from September 11th until October?
She was paid.
I want to get to you. Okay. Why hadn't she paid you anything? Why did you continue to watch her daughter if she hadn't paid you anything?
Because I filled out the contract with this company, and I was told by her that they would pay me. They told me it would take a couple of weeks for the paperwork to go through.
Okay, so now you've got middle of October, and they tell you they're going to pay you $2.84 an hour. You speak to her, she said, don't worry, I'll make up the difference.
Yes, she did.
What happened in the end of October, in the month of November? Because clearly she wasn't giving you, according to you, any more money, even the difference, even if you were paid by the state. She wasn't.
Well, she always had an excuse as to why, and me being her friend, I didn't, you know, I was trying to actually help her. She was having problems with her son in school. She was having financial problems being a single mother or whatever, and I was being very understanding of that, being a single mother myself.
Did you get any money whatsoever from the defendant?
No, ma'am.
Did you get any money from this organization?
Yes, ma'am. On December the 20th, I received a check from that organization.
For how much?
For $360. And here's the copy of the paperwork for that. Ms. Broom and I met on October the 15th to go down to CC&RC to ask what was going on as to why I hadn't been paid. They stated that I had not had a TB test. So on the 19th, I had a TB test, and here's the record for that.
Okay.
Okay. Then they said it would be a few more weeks for the paperwork
so those weeks
to go through.
that you babysat for her, 5 days a week, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I kept a...
Just a second. And how many weeks did you watch the child?
I don't have the weeks calculated, but I do have a tally for each month of September, October, November, December, the days that I watched a child, the hours that I watched a child. CC&RC provides you with this type of form that you turn in.
Okay. Now I'll hear you, Ms. Broom.
Okay. First of all, I would like to iterate that my daughter did stay on the grounds. I took my lunch at 2:30 between 3 and picked her up. My children, both of them, were able to come to my job and sit in the conference room.
Listen, I'm not interested.
All right, well, other than
not
that,
interested.
My daughter would not be standing there crying. She called me on my cell phone. She says, I'll take Kylie home with me. And then she says, I can watch her if you want. She offered. I never asked her.
That's not true.
Which is fine. I never asked her to do anything. I told her that I had Kylie on the waiting list with CCRC. And if she, you know, if we discuss it, if she didn't mind, she can watch her and she can sign a contract with them and they'll reimburse her. I pay CCRC a portion of whatever the child care is.
How much do you pay CCRC?
It all depends on what the provider is being charged. Here's a log of what I pay CCRC. She was paid. That's the bottom line. I don't owe her any money. There were things that were going on in her home. She was rather upset because I removed my child from her home.
That's not true.
There were things. She has an autistic daughter.
She stayed with, listen to me carefully, Miss Broom. Your daughter stayed with her part of September,
Right.
October, November, part of December. And what you're telling me, your defense to this case is that your arrangement with her
Right.
was that she was going to be paid by this organization.
And until she was paid, I paid her cash.
Okay.
And in the same instance, just like I paid her for ballet and tap, she was reimbursed for child care.
Yeah, okay.
She was reimbursed for child care.
Really?
Not only did she, and she said, she's making a statement that she watched my daughter. We did things for each other. We were supposed to be friends. Quote unquote, I thought that's what we are. In the same instance, she made matters even worse. I didn't even want to deal with it, remove my child from her home. The things that went on in her home, I couldn't relate to it.
Forget.
Okay.
I'm not interested. You left your child there. That's the bottom line.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's lying.
No, I don't believe she's lying.
Well, I believe she's lying.
Well, I don't care what you believe. The most important thing is that I don't believe she's lying. I don't believe that for 1 second.
And later today,
You were on City Time romancing his girlfriend in his house. You didn't tell me it wasn't true, Mr. Flores.
It's not true.
Because I have a feeling you two guys are playing with each other a little bit.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rebecca Fowler says former friend Delva Broom owes for babysitting fees. Delva says Rebecca was paid by the county.
How much do you earn annually?
Probably about $33,000, $34,000 a year.
Okay.
That's the issue. She thought that I don't know what I'm a single mother. I'm not on welfare. I work hard.
That's fine.
And if I was not qualified for this, she knew that she signed a contract with CCRC. Until CCRC picked up her contract, I then paid her. Again, she's lying.
I don't believe she's lying.
Well, I believe she's lying.
I don't care what you believe. The most important thing is that I don't believe she's lying.
Well.
I believe because a babysitter, not somebody who's 12 years old, but somebody who is an adult, a very minimal, reasonable payment for an adult is $6 an hour.
Right. And she received that.
Just a second. I don't believe that for 1 second that you paid her. Not for a moment. I believe that she was strung along.
No.
And she finally got a payment of $360, which is here in the paperwork. Put your hand down. Does it look like you're losing?
No, ma'am.
Where is your daughter currently?
My daughter is currently in an after-school program.
And when was she accepted in the after-school program?
After
what month was
January.
Right. So you stopped with her in December?
No, I did not. I was at the end of November.
Listen, you're a fast talker.
No, I'm...
Bottom line is, I believe that you agreed with her and you said, I can pay you $6 an hour. Ultimately, you said to her, fill out these forms because some of it, you can get back and then I can pay you the difference. That sounds right to me.
That's not true.
But
because
nobody is going to work for $2 an hour. Nobody works for $2 an hour. Judgment for the plaintiff. Quiet! Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,612. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There's a reason why I took my child from her home. She's very vindictive. She's been convicted of child abuse.
I terminated the child care because by December the 15th, I hadn't been paid by her nor CCNRC.
She's a liar, welfare recipient.
Threatening to have me and my boyfriend beat up by people.
She's a liar, and she was paid. She's a liar.
She never paid me anything.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Meadows versus Flores. Step forward, please.
Warehouse worker Angel Muro is suing his ex-wife's ex-fiancé, Marco Flores, for car damages and pain and suffering. Marco is countersuing for damage to his truck and for harassment.
The defendant is the fiancé of your former girlfriend. Is that right?
Yes, we have a daughter in common.
How old is the child?
She's 10 now.
How long did you live with her?
About 10 years.
But you don't live with her anymore now. She's engaged to Mr. Flores.
That's right.
Your complaint is that Mr. Flores caused 2 accidents. One happened in August of last year. One happened in February of this year. The one that happened in August, you got paid for. Is that right?
Correct. My car was repaired.
I'm not dealing with that. Now that you hurt your knee or something. Should have dealt with that before your insurance company paid for it. But you say that he caused an accident in February, and because of his driving, he caused you to hit him in the rear of his car. He says that you hit him in the rear of his car, and it was your fault. And he is counterclaiming not only for that incident in February, but also he says that you have been harassing both him and his fiancée and have written defamatory letters to their bosses, all of which I will see. Now, I want you to tell me where this accident happened in February.
This happened in Sun Valley.
Tell me what happened.
I was going south on Laurel Canyon, and when I got up to Strathern, I noticed Marco, and he had pulled up in front of me, and there was another car, a friend of his, and another car, a big Ford behind me. I didn't get.
How did you know that the other person in the other car was a friend of his?
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
That's
I didn't. I just, when we were at the light was red, so we were just sitting there, and the car behind me kept easing up on my tail, and I kept looking up at the mirror at him, you know. And when the light changed, Marco took off, and then, you know, I was still looking at my mirror because this guy was just coming up, you know. I proceeded, and I looked up in my mirror. Next thing I know, he was sitting right in the intersection. He had only gone about 5 feet past the pedestrian crosswalk.
And you hit him?
Yes.
Now, what makes you think that this person behind you was a friend of his?
Because the way it was set up, the car just automatically just swerved off and sped off, and the other lane was
So
open.
you don't know that he was a friend of his?
No, that's just my assumption.
That's your assumption, so
then,
I can't deal with your assumption. He's in front of you, you're watching the car behind you, and you hit him in the rear.
Correct.
Your case is dismissed. Now let's get to your counterclaim. You hit him in the rear, it's your fault. You're supposed to be far enough away from the car in front of you not to hit them in the rear. Now, so forget about your claim. And you forget about the February driving incident. Do you understand?
Yes.
All I want to hear about is the letters.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Because I have a feeling you two guys are playing with each other a little bit. That's my sense.
Wait.
That you don't avoid each other. In a big town, it just so happens that on many occasions, you're with each other, around each other in your cars. If you want to act like fools, that's your problem. You're not going to visit that on me.
Okay.
I want to hear quiet. I want to hear your allegations, Mr. Flores, with regard to the harassment and defamation.
Okay. He wrote 2 letters to the city. I work for 2 departments in the city.
Let me see the copies of letters that he wrote.
I feel that all the harassment was on his part. I didn't find out till...
I'm reading.
I've got letters from my superiors that he contacted my job before I called his job.
What word didn't you understand? I said I'm reading. Well, Mr. Flores.
Yes.
Let me tell you this. These letters are clearly the letters of an angry person. What he is complaining about is that while on city time, you were romancing his girlfriend in his house, parked your city truck that you were supposed to be using for business only, and that he was able to document it. Now, all that is pretty nasty, but he's allowed to write that. I mean, there's a lot of other extraneous stuff in here about his 8-year-old daughter and having to wait outside when you were there.
That's right.
However, if your complaint is that he should not have written to your bosses and told them that you were on city time, and if he's a taxpayer, using city vehicle to mess around with his girlfriend, he has a right to do that.
Well, if he has documentation and proof, why didn't he bring it forward?
You didn't tell me it wasn't true, Mr. Flores.
It's not true.
Oh.
My daughter...
Just a minute. Mr. Flores, that's what a hearing is for, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that if there were any truth to these allegations, or if there was a question as to their veracity, because I see that you did change jobs, because one letter is written in 2000, one letter is written to a different employer in 2001, that you would have been given a hearing if you wish to contest those.
They transferred him out of there for that reason.
Hey,
It was
Mr.
justified.
Temper, take your hands out of your pockets.
It was justified, Your Honor.
So he has a right to send in those letters. You have a right to have a hearing. He was angry. By the way, how come you lived together for 10 years and never got married?
Just when things would get nice and calm, then something would always come up.
Did you ever ask her to marry you?
Yeah, I did, once.
Once?
No.
And
Just didn't work out. She wasn't taking care of my daughter like I wanted her to.
Well, you're pretty bossy, Mr. Muro.
No, my daughter was...
Listen to me, you're pretty bossy.
No, my daughter was not allowed to go in the house she was not allowed to go in the house when she got home from school until they took care of what they were doing. And
Listen to me.
And then,
I asked you a simple question. You were together for 10 years. Why didn't you marry?
Because she wasn't faithful.
Then you don't have a child and you don't live together for 10 years. All right, Mr. Muro, you don't have a case. You hit his car in the rear. You're responsible for the damage. Mr. Flores, you don't have a case.
Well, Your Honor.
I'm speaking.
Can I just say one thing?
No. That's what you're suing for.
But
damage to your
To
car.
explain my
You don't have to. Sir, listen to me. I said to you, you hit him in the rear.
Correct.
Period. End of discussion. And you were looking at another car in your rearview mirror while you were driving. It's your fault. Pay for it yourself. You do not have a case. Do you understand? He has a right to complain about your abusing public funds by going fooling around in his house using a public car when he's not home. He really didn't care about... I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
He has a right to file a complaint. You had the right to have a hearing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Goodbye.
2-year-old daycare provider Christina Harding is suing her former roommate, 23-year-old real estate agent Charity Zymet, for unpaid rent and bills after she broke the lease.
Order. All rise. All rise, please. Your Honor, this is case number 129 on the calendar in the matter of Harding versus Zymet.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats, please.
Ms. Harding, you and the defendant signed a lease for a house.
Yes.
It's a large house. You were the only two people on the lease?
Yes.
You moved into the house with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Boyfriend.
Yep.
Ms. Zymet moved in with her two children?
Yes.
And there was someone else living in the house too?
Yes.
Who was that?
Her witness, Jolene.
Ms. Zymet moved out early.
Yes.
And you believe that she should be responsible for the 7 months that was remaining on the lease?
Yes.
Ms. Zymet says that she was forced out because of assaultive behavior by both you and your boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay. When did you sign the lease?
November 1st.
Of what year?
2001.
Did you know each other before you signed the
Yes.
lease? For how long?
Since the 9th grade, about 1994.
So you've known each other a long time?
Yes.
Was there any reason why your two names were the only names on the lease?
We were going to move in with another girl that backed out at the last minute, and that's when we had decided to let Jolene move in.
And what about your boyfriend?
He just never signed the lease. It was just between the
Why?
two of us. I don't know. We just never had put him on it.
But he actually moved in?
Yes.
What was the total rental on the house?
$1,600.
And what was the defendant's responsibility on the lease?
$550.
I'm going to go to you, Ms. Emmett. When did problems arise that you say caused you to move out?
Well, problems arose as soon as we moved in. She was, in my opinion, acting jealous over me and Jolene talking. She would slam doors around. She was just not making it comfortable to be there at all. And then every week it seemed like there was something different that happened. You know, at the beginning of January when she shoved me into a gate, which I have a picture of a bruise that she left on my back.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, it was New Year's Eve. I happened to leave them at the club, not purposely.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, we were at a dance club.
Who was?
Drinking. All of us. And we all left, and I was supposed to bring 2 people home, which I didn't. Not on purpose. No. Not on purpose. Didn't bring them home, which included Jolene and Archie's sister.
You all went to a dance club.
Right.
You were supposed to take 2 people home.
Right.
Jolene and the boyfriend's sister.
Yes.
You didn't do that.
Right.
You say you didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
Because she was highly intoxicated.
You did it. It was accidental.
Right.
But something happened when you got home?
Right. As soon as I walked out of the garage, she came running at me and pushed me into the gate, and the gate handle left a bruise on my back.
And you say you have photographs of it?
I have a photograph, yes.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'll get to you in a second.
It's hard to see, but you can see.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then the very next weekend, on a Saturday, we were all at the house drinking after the, just having a little party at the house after the bar. And
After what bar?
After just the bar on a Saturday night, you know. We're just,
So you went to a bar Saturday night and you were drinking?
Right, all of us.
And then you came home and you continued to drink?
Right.
Where were your 2 children when all this drinking was going on?
My children were with their father.
Do they live with their father on the
No.
weekends?
well, it was every other weekend.
Go ahead.
And Archie was, intoxicated. He was yelling at his sister. Me and Jolene were sitting in the kitchen, and we just really didn't want to hear it, like yelling and stuff. So I stood up. I said, it's okay. That's all I said. He started cursing at me and proceeded to throw me across the kitchen. And when I got up, I was crying. And when I was walking away, he poured his beer down my hair. I did call the cops, which I have records of that.
You just have a record that you call the police. You don't have a report.
Right. Here's what happened after I called the cops. I was upstairs in my room when I called the cops. And when they got there, I didn't realize I was upstairs, couldn't hear nothing. And then her and all his family came upstairs to ask me if I called the cops, but they said it.
That is not true.
You didn't call the cops, did you?
I'll get to you in a second.
You didn't call the cops, did you? And I didn't realize the cops were standing right down the hallway, so I said no because I didn't, want to say it to them.
All right. So those were the two instances that you're complaining about that caused you ultimately to move out.
Them are the two biggest ones, yes.
You're Archie.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pour a beer on her?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
I figured you did. Why?
Because I thought that she interfered with something that didn't really have to do with her. She was not in the same room like she said she was when my sister and I had gotten into an argument. We were just talking, just how brother and sister normally do. And she came out of the kitchen, started yelling at us, started swearing at us. She started chewing me out, saying I didn't have no business talking to my sister like that. My sister had said some pretty offensive things to some people.
Okay, so she just came out and she was yelling at you.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I asked her if she could please, get away from our conversation. I was talking to my sister. I didn't think she had any business being there. She kept on insisting on trying to get in between us, trying to push us apart from each other. It wasn't getting physical. It wasn't getting very loud. We were just having a few words, and she intervened.
She's
somehow.
intervening in a family situation. So
Yeah.
what did you do?
So I asked her on several occasions.
You told me you asked her to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Move out.
Both
Go.
me and
I asked her on several occasions to please sit down, please leave us alone. We're trying to talk.
All right, so you asked her, and she didn't.
She did not.
What happened next?
Then she pushed me.
She pushed you. How did
pushed
she
me
push
back.
you?
She pushed me by my chest like this.
You mean she put her hands on your chest
she put
and
my
pushed
hands
you?
on my chest, yes.
Yes, and what did you do?
I just dumped my beer on her after that. I got frustrated that the fact that she would not, quit talking to me and my sister. I was trying to have a
Did you
conversation
push her
with my
back?
sister. No, I did not.
You just poured your beer on
I
her.
just poured my beer over her head, yes.
And at that point, you were angry.
I was a little upset.
Put your hand down.
I was a little upset, Your Honor. I was not angry. I work at a high stress level job. I don't get angry.
Archie, was it becoming increasingly unpleasant living in the house with the defendant?
Yes, it was, Your Honor. She.
It was very unpleasant. It was
yeah,
unpleasant for you?
Yeah, it was pretty unpleasant.
Was it unpleasant for you?
Yes.
Good. So that you were not unhappy when she left?
Not necessarily.
Good.
Well, I had tried to work things out with her. I tried to sit down and
you're
talk
not.
to her a
Once
number
she has
of
a fight
times.
with your boyfriend, you're not working things out with her.
It was before that also.
Once she has a fight with your boyfriend, you're not working things out with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She and our other roommate had brought numerous guys over that they all had baseball bats and shovels and jumped my boyfriend. He ended up going to the hospital with 8 staples in his head.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Harding says former roommate Charity Zymet owes for breaking a lease. Charity says she feared for her safety.
Now, you moved out in January?
Yes. Well, I paid January's rent, full January's rent, but I moved out at the beginning, but I still had some stuff there until the end of January.
Okay. Is that true?
No, she did not move out. She put a padlock on her door, and she would come every day, pick up a little of her stuff, and go.
Well, that's what she says. She says she moved out, but she left her stuff there
Yes,
through
she
the end
didn't
of the month.
officially
And she
move
did
out till
pay
the end of January.
And she did pay January's rent.
Your Honor, she did not move out. She was there just about every night of the week.
Fine, but she paid January.
Yes.
Okay. Come February, is she gone?
Yes, she was gone the end of January, but she had not given me any notice.
If you think that I don't see your hand, I do see your hand. I'm not interested in asking you any questions right now.
Your Honor, I asked her numerous times when I could plan on her moving out so that I could find another roommate.
Okay, so now you know at the end of January she's gone. What did you do to find another roommate?
I had asked her numerous times throughout January when she would be out so that I could find another roommate.
You're not listening to my question.
Your Honor, she was...
I said, now you know at the end of January she's out. What did you do then to get another roommate?
I had another roommate set up to move in on March 1st. And she and our other roommate brought numerous guys over that were related to Jolene. And they all had baseball bats and shovels, and they jumped my boyfriend. He ended up going to the hospital with 8 staples in his head. And that caused my roommate not to move in. She was scared to live with us.
And when did that happen?
On February 3rd. I have pictures and hospital reports of what happened.
Is anybody arrested?
No, it's still pending investigation.
It's a pending criminal investigation.
So I could not get a police report. It's not been released yet. You're talking to a homicide investigator.
Did she move out too?
No,
after that night, after February 3rd.
Okay.
Earlier that night at the club, she was trying to fight with me. My boyfriend stepped in the middle of us. She broke a beer bottle over the side of his head. And so then the bouncers jumped on her, took her out of there. He was trying to press charges. They said she was going to detox. She showed up at the house within an hour. And then within an hour after that, there was about 8 to 10 guys. They were about to break the window to get in the house when my boyfriend opened the door. They pulled him outside. They all had baseball bats and shovels. He was beaten pretty bad, as you can see in those pictures. His cousin and his sister also ran out there and were pretty beaten up too.
What makes you think that the defendant had anything to do with this?
Because I saw her driving away from there after the guy. She was sitting there on the street in her car when this was all going on. After the police were starting to come, she backed around the corner of the block.
After she supposedly moved out of the house, Your Honor.
You mean on February 3rd?
Yeah.
Yes.
This young lady was with her in the car?
She was in one of the cars. She had gone out the side entrance and she had gotten into a car somewhere else when all this had happened. She must have got in the car before that. When I saw Charity back down the street, she was in the car by herself.
When was the lease up in the apartment?
It's not up until August 31st.
Who's living in the house now?
Just the 2 of us. We have still yet to find a roommate.
Where are you living now?
I own a house. I had just moved out from my kids' father for a short period of time.
Go back. You're living in a house that you own?
Yep.
When did you purchase the house?
August of 2001.
If you purchased the house in August of 2001, what were you living with them for?
There was problems between me and my kids' father, so I decided to move out for a short time.
So you're back in that house now?
Yes.
Who are you living there with?
My children and my kids' father.
Were you at the house? I'm not going to ask any questions about that. That's part of a pending criminal investigation, so I'm not going to ask any questions about where you were on February 3rd.
Your Honor?
What?
I had an apartment with my boyfriend before. I decided to move in with her and another friend that was going to be getting a divorce from her husband. And she decided to stay with her husband. We were fine in the apartment we had. I decided I wanted to help her out because she wanted to get away from her kids' father. She was dating my boyfriend's friend at the time, and she wanted to get out of that house. She wasn't planning on going back there.
Okay,
she signed the lease till August 31st.
Did you speak to the landlord before you moved out?
Yes, I did. Quite a few times. He told me he would take me off the lease, and that's where I was renting from.
I never received another lease.
Were you, in fact, removed from the lease?
Well, he kept saying he was...
Not well. The answer is either you were removed from the lease or you were not.
Yes, definitely.
Show me.
I don't have any proof. He lives in another state.
Well, you have no proof, and it wasn't then. The only lease that I have is the one that you originally signed.
Well, I spoke to him on the phone quite a few times, and he told me that he would take me off, that he did take me off.
I don't listen to what you tell me. That is hearsay. If you have a lease or a document from the landlord that indicates that you were removed from the lease and your obligations under the lease have been terminated, I will see that. You don't have that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what efforts did you make to try to find a new roommate to assume your responsibilities under the lease?
It was not my responsibility to find a new roommate.
No, whose was it? Bird's? Whose was it?
Well,
you have a lease.
Correct.
You have an obligation under the lease.
Yes.
Ordinarily, I would say that they have an obligation to mitigate their damages.
Well,
which
she told
I'm
me...
speaking. I want you to try to learn something today. Every day should be a learning experience.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Harding says former roommate Charity Zymet owes for breaking an apartment lease. Christina also claims Charity sent friends to beat up her boyfriend, Archie White Eagle.
Listen to me. They have an obligation, if they know that you're moving out, to try to mitigate their damages by finding someone to assume the remainder of your lease. Unless I find that there is some evidence that you and your girlfriend over here have done something that would make it difficult for them to find a new roommate. You also have a responsibility, because if you sign a lease and if you move into a home with the understanding that neither of you could afford this on your own, but together you could afford to maintain a big house like this, then you have a responsibility not only to your landlord, but also to your co-tenant. So I'm asking you, you did not do anything to find another roommate?
Well, she, at first, we did agree about a 2-month notice of getting out. Now, I don't know why she's going for the whole lease. I think she's just upset that the person did not move in, which I do not know the person that was going to move in, but Jolene does. She said that she didn't want to move in the first place. She was just saying she was going to move in to be nice, and this is all what she told Jolene. She said she was never planning on moving in.
Then find somebody, and I'm asking you, what efforts did you make to find somebody? And if your answer is simple, you made no effort to find anybody. Is that right?
Correct.
Good. Listen to me. It was not a pleasant situation living there in the house, clearly. Everybody made a mistake, and everybody's got a bad temper. You had no right to pour beer over her head.
Correct.
None. And she had, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if she was a reasonable parent, which I'm not so sure about, a lot of drinking going on there, even if her children weren't home.
And her children were there every weekend.
Are you trying to talk over me?
No, I'm sorry.
Good. So I think it's probably a very good idea that she left. Now, are you current in your rent?
Yes.
How are you managing it?
It's really hard.
Do you
I
work?
have tried to start daycare, and I haven't gotten very many children because of the pending investigation, and my boyfriend has been picking up just about most of the rent.
What kind of work do you do?
In security.
Okay, so you've been paying the rent.
Yeah.
Now, when you moved into the house, did you put down security?
Yes.
How much?
I put down 1,000, Charity put down 600, and I have lost that now.
Why?
The landlord said since she moved out, she forfeited her part of it, and...
Oh, no. Don't give me baloney. Security deposit is for any damage that's done. So you don't forfeit that until you move out.
That's just what the landlord said, and I'm going
and you
to
only
fight
forfeit that
if
if you move out and there's damage to the property. Is there damage to the property?
Yes, I have pictures of how she left her room also. Holes in the walls and trash all over.
Well, trash it and clean up.
Yes.
Holes in the walls is different.
Well, we had to pay for that trash to get hauled away also, Your Honor, out of our own pocket.
Arch, is there anything physically wrong with you?
No.
You had to pay somebody to sweep up?
No, I said we had to physically pay to remove all of her trash that she left
When
there.
you say physically pay, what does that mean,
We had to pay
Archie?
the trash.
We had to pay the trash bill to have all of that stuff hauled away.
No, that's not a big deal. We're not looking at a big deal here. Listen, Miss Zimet, you skipped out on a lease, and you had no reason to skip out on that lease, as far as they're concerned.
And as far as they're concerned, I guess not. In my mind, I did.
You're not speaking for a very good reason, madam. You're not speaking because there is currently an investigation that is pending with regard to a very serious assault. And I don't want to hear you because I don't want you to inculpate yourself or anyone else in this incident that occurred on February 3rd.
There's other incidences that happen, though.
But I'm not going to let you pick and choose what you want to talk about.
Okay.
Perfect. Now we understand each other? Good. She has a $600 security deposit. I suggest you putty up the walls so that you don't lose that part of the security deposit. She moved out, she paid January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Is that right?
August.
No. August will be covered by her security deposit. I will prepare an order that her security deposit is to be released to you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That covers your last month's rent. So it's 6 months at $550 is $3,300.
I also have bills that she didn't pay for December and January.
What bills?
The trash bill of the electric bill, the water bill, and the cable bill.
Good. Consider that paid for by the dumping of the beer over her head. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. That's all. You're a model?
Yes.
Aspiring?
Yes.
So you have to smile. Mr. Alexander, you're a photographer.
Yes, I am.
You needed pictures?
Yes.
You hired him to take pictures?
Yes.
Now you're suing him?
Yes.
For $1,000. Right? That's what you said.
They went up to $2,000 as of this morning.
Well, the papers that I have are for $1,000.
Good.
So why don't you tell me about this arrangement and why you think he owes you any money?
Well, he didn't agree to what we agreed in the first
Where
place.
did you meet him? Let's start with that.
The modeling management. Model. It's a model management.
Is that a company?
Agency.
An agency.
Modeling agency.
Was he referred to you by someone?
Well, he was there with my manager, and he showed me his pictures, his book, which was really good, that he took of other models. And yes, they did tell me his work was good. So, yes.
And what was the arrangement, the financial arrangement that you had with him?
I had to pay him, he said $250.
I didn't hear you.
It was $250, and that was for the photo shoot. I was getting 2 rows of pictures.
You were getting 2 rolls of pictures, or he was shooting 2 rolls of
He
pictures?
was going to shoot 2 rows of film. He said I would get 2 rows, which would be 72 pictures that I would get. Okay.
That you would get to keep?
That I would get, yes. That's what you do when you take pictures. You get your proof sheet, you get your negatives, and your slides.
And what else was he supposed to give you for this $250?
Well, after I received the pictures from him, he does other things, or he does half of the job. You know, like the background change or the eye change or different things he do extra to the pictures. So that
he
would
touches
be extra
them up.
amount, right? Extra amount of money.
I know about that.
Okay, extra amount of money. So I paid for 4, which was $100. He said, and I have those 4.
4 photographs that you paid for out of your contact sheets.
This was
And that was $25 a piece, or another $100.
It was $100 for 4. Okay, I received those. Then we went back to the pictures. He brought some of the pictures. He said I would need 7 or 8 more pictures. So we picked 7 more pictures.
7 additional ones?
Additional ones.
At what cost?
$175. And then, because at the photo shoot, he only took cash. For these 4 pictures, he only took cash. He said only cash. Okay, so with these additional ones, only had a checkbook, and I had no more money. So I post-dated the check. He didn't want to take it, but before I left, he said he would take the check. So I post-dated the $175 check for those 7 additional pictures.
How long did you post-date the check for?
It was, about a week. Because it was, the week Thursday, and it was next Thursday. So it was a week.
Okay.
Which he had cashed it before the post-dated check. You understand? I didn't know they can do that. But
I didn't know either.
But he did. Because I called the bank.
Okay.
Because I did not receive those 7 pictures, and I had been calling him, and he wouldn't return my phone calls to get me those pictures.
So that's what you're suing him for?
Yeah, for those pictures, and then the slides that I want also. The rest of my pictures, the slides.
You want the contact sheets and the negatives?
Yes.
Now, sir, let's start with the 7 pictures first. You cashed her check for $175?
Yes, I did.
And that was for 7 pictures?
7 pictures.
Where are her 7 pictures?
They're right here.
Take them out.
I mean, I have no problem with her testimony all the way to the end.
Okay.
Because, you know, she's just about right. I mean, we had an agreement, and what happened was that she said, I went out of my way to make this arrangement for her. Starting from the beginning, I charge $150 a roll. 2 rolls, $150, times 2 is $300. She bargained it down, and she knows that. She said, I'd like to shoot with you. I've seen your work. It's great. I said, okay, you know what? I'll make it $250, but that's it. She comes to the shoot. We'll do 2 rolls. In the middle of the session, of course, when I'm shooting, I ask the client, I finished the rolls. Do you want to go on? And I added 1 extra roll, and I did not even charge her for it. And so I finished the job. She was very happy. When it came to the ordering, she just kept saying she doesn't have the money. I even went out of my way. What I did was I went ahead and printed the pictures without asking any money for it. I said, you know what, I'm so confident that you're going to like the pictures, so I'll show you, just pay me when you pick it up. She saw it, she liked it, and she ordered some more. But then again, we had money problem. And she said, well, can I post the check? I said, sure you can. I mean, I know you're good for it, you've been paying me, I have no problem with her. She's a very nice lady. I mean, I don't know why we are even here. But, she posted the check, and I told her, I said, number 1, your check is postdated for a week. I have to wait until I cash it because, I'm not going to
That's reasonable.
Yeah, and number 2, I was going to go out of town for a week. I mentioned that to her, and I said, when I come back, I pick up the picture and I'll give it to you.
How long did it take you to do the other 7 pictures after she had given
Usually,
you the check? No, not usually. In this case, how long was it before you completed those pictures?
About a week to 10 days.
Okay. Can I see the photographs?
Sure.
I would really like to see them. Now, the only other thing that I have to ask you, sir, is about this arrangement where she would get all the negatives and the
It's not my practice whatsoever. I have hundreds of receipts here that I always mention on the bottom of my receipts. If they ask for it, I'll write it down. I do not include the picture. I do not include any negative or slides. It is just for the session. I charge $150 just to shoot. I even brought my witness that we just shot yesterday, and this is my just a very last and desperate attempt to get somebody, because I had somebody to show up today and she canceled. She had a shoot. I had a model was supposed to be here.
Well, what is she going to tell me if she was testify?
She was going to actually just basically how I charge people and how we, I usually,
All I can tell you, Miss Fry, is these are terrific. Have you seen them?
I never see.
Well, I would love you to take a look at them. I think that they're really exceptional.
No, I've never said that he does do good work, but I have another comment about the amount. Actually, was $2,000. Posted in
Whether it was $2,000, I don't know what you're suing for $2,000 for. $1,000. Just a second. I don't know what you would be suing for $1,000 or $2,000 for.
Right.
To be honest with you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments.
And later today,
Tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Photographer Sean Alexander denies that he took liberties with model Tanya Fry during a photo session, and as witness Vanessa Gill says Sean has a spotless reputation.
Now you have all 7 pictures that you paid for.
Okay,
right? Just a second.
Just
a second. And I think that if you had not had a final written agreement with regard to these negatives,
right,
I would not award you the negatives, because I don't believe it's custom in the industry for a photographer to give away the value of his trade, because that means that you can take these negatives and go into any photocopy store and say, I want you to make me pictures. Well, that's how he makes his money, because $250 for a photo shoot is very reasonable, right?
More than reasonable.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So photographers make their money, professional photographers, over the other pictures that you keep ordering from them. So I think it's unreasonable for you to ask for those. He was supposed to shoot 2 rolls, and from those shot rolls, you were going to select other pictures that you were going to order. In this case, you ordered a total of 11
I even
pictures.
shot extra rolls.
Well, that wasn't said. The said was you'll get 72 pictures, which would be more than enough what you would need for your book. So
I still don't understand why you're suing
And I
him
think
for.
she's suing-
well,
I still don't understand why you're suing him for $2,000. Then we'll get to this watch that you're holding. Is that her watch?
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
that's
that's what
another
it is. Cost $2,000. I don't know. I mean,
And
this
then-
is what
Just a second. Was that left during the photo shoot?
Yes.
So give it back to her.
and then
Take your watch.
the other incident was the harassment.
What kind
during
of harassment?
The photo shoot, the sexual harassment.
I can't believe this.
That was.
All right, so you're suing for sexual harassment. Let me hear. Is that what the
Yes.
money is for? Let me hear.
Changing in the room.
In what room?
It was in the dressing room at this house.
I have a
'cause that's-
makeup.
Jump. I'm going to get to you. Go
it
ahead.
was during this shoot that I was changing from the bathing suit to get in this position. He was behind me, okay, grabbing my rear, telling me all these accusations, how sexy, how attractive, ooh, how this looks so good. My behind, grabbing it. That was one incident. This
Just a second. At
photo
what sta-
shoot right here.
Just a second. At what stage was this?
During the photo shoot, toward the end of the photo
Okay.
shoot.
Go ahead.
Okay. During this photo shoot, he told me I had to raise it up more, the dress, put it up or on the side. So he came over there behind me. He did it again, hit me on the butt, telling me again how attractive my butt looked, how good it looked, making all these sexual comments. I was ready to leave. I told him, don't say that, don't do that. I said I was ready to go.
Did
Are
that
we
happen?
done?
Did that happen, sir?
It's total bogus. Let me tell you. Throughout the photo shoot, I do make the models feel comfortable, and I do say certain things so they are comfortable. I pose them, I do whatever it's necessary to make him look good, and that's what the pictures are the proof, you can tell. But as far as she said she was ready to leave. She was ready to leave to have, she even said, maybe want to go get something to eat. That's as far as I left it at the photo shoot, and that was it.
Miss Fry, I have a couple of questions for you. You did this photo shoot. Towards the end of the photo shoot, you tell me now you believe he sexually harassed you. You stayed, correct? You stayed, is that right?
But I told him don't do it.
And after the photo shoot was concluded, you got the proofs back, right? And you selected 4 photographs. So far, am I right? And you were satisfied with them, you ordered them. Is that right?
I mean, you should
Check.
see...
Do I look like I need help?
No, no.
Ms. Fry, look at me.
Yes.
You ordered 4 pictures.
Yeah.
And you were satisfied with them. You told them they were very good, and so good you wanted more pictures, correct?
Yes.
If you had gotten your 7 pictures when you felt you should have gotten them, which was a couple of weeks ago, would I hear sexual harassment from you? Would I hear these allegations of sexual harassment from you?
Yes, because they were true. It happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How many photographers have you been with?
Several.
Really? You seem to be a little bit naive to me on the situation. I'm
Well,
sorry
who
for
are
that.
you? You need to shut up and mind your own business.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Model Tanya Fry is suing photographer Sean Alexander over slides and alleged harassment.
Is what you're saying to me, you planned on suing him whether he gave you the pictures or not?
About the sexual harassment?
Yes. Is what you're telling me that you intended when you left, or a day later or 2 days later, whether or not you got these photographs, you intended to sue him for $2,000 for sexually harassing you?
Oh, no. I was not sure of what I was going to do about those sexual
Well,
harassment
what made you
charges.
sure?
I wanted to let them know what was done to me during a photo shoot.
No, what I'm asking you is, at what point did you become sure that you wanted to sue him for this sexual harassment? After you ordered the first set of pictures, before you ordered the first set of pictures, when you ordered the second set of pictures?
The second. That's when I found out that I could not get my slides or negatives when he told me he was not going to give them to me because he keep them for his record.
So you determined to sue him for this $2,000 for sexual harassment when he declined to give you the negatives. Is that correct?
When I didn't get through all of my things.
Very good. Okay, you now have your photographs. Is that correct?
I have some of them.
No, you have all of them. You have all that you ordered, which were the 7 retouched large photographs. And you have the 4 that he originally gave you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you, sir, have been paid $175 for these.
Yes.
And you have been paid the $100 for the other 4.
Yes.
Correct? And you have been paid $250 for the photo shoot.
Yes.
Very good. This case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm sorry, Tanya, but I think, you went a little bit out of line.
No, I did
You know I did everything I could. You know I did everything I could. Okay? I think the judge saw the whole thing. This is just ridiculous, but I'm glad it's over.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hanley versus Lewis. Step forward, please.
25-year-old landscaper Lawrence Handley says Richard Lewis set his shirt on fire to wake him up. Lewis says Handley had previously set off a firecracker at his feet.
Why in the world would you burn him with a cigarette lighter?
Well, it was kind of a practical joke. I wasn't intending to burn him. I was just intending to make his arm warm. It's just a gag, like a hot foot or something like that.
How old are you?
27.
Tell me how it happened.
We were waiting at my friend Scott's house here. It was after a softball game.
A what?
A softball game.
Softball game.
And we were going to go out for a couple cocktails after the game. A few people were supposed to meet us there. I fell asleep while we were waiting.
Where, in the living room?
Yeah, in the living room, in a chair in his house. I woke up, I felt or smelt something burning on my arm, and I kind of hopped up, and my shirt was on fire. And I jumped out of the chair and you know, started hitting my arm, and my arm was burned up, and I kind of looked around. I was in a daze. I'd just woken up, and I see him, and actually Scott was laughing too. I see him cracking up right next to me. Sort of found out that...
Did you ask him why he did that?
He basically told me, oh, well, I was trying to, you know, get you or something like that, burn your arm or light your hair on fire or something ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I don't know. He was still laughing up a storm about it, and I wasn't too pleased, you know, so.
You still have a mark there?
Yeah, I do.
Can I see it, please? Step up.
Step up. It's smaller than it used to be, but it used to be about as big as a baseball.
How long ago did that happen?
4 or 5 months ago.
Did you see that, sir?
This is the first time I saw it when he showed it to you.
You want to see it? Sure.
Well, he wants some damages for your stupidity.
Well, Your Honor, it's, you know, in all fairness, our group of friends, when someone passes out or goes to sleep, we play practical jokes on him before. I know for a fact that he's done it to other people, tie people's shoelaces together. I mean, that's why I have a witness to corroborate.
Tying their shoelaces together, sir, is a far cry from using a cigarette lighter and setting somebody on fire.
Well, I wasn't
intending
to light him on fire.
At age
That's the whole
27.
thing.
What were you trying
Do you
to
work?
do then?
Well, yeah, I do. You know,
Well, just
if I
a
start acting like I'm 27, I'm going to be 27. If I act like a kid, I'm going to be young for the rest of my life.
What kind of work do you do?
I sell copy work and graphics work to law firms, Overflow.
That's amazing.
Copy work.
That sounds like a pretty responsible position, sir.
It is.
So when do you take on this infancy that you do? Just on weekends?
I like to have fun. You know, in all fairness too, in previous, I think it was last year on 4th of July, you know, he thought it was a cool gag to throw a firecracker at my girlfriend and I, and scared her pretty good. It pissed me off real good.
What?
And, you know, he just laughed it off and everybody laughed, and, you know, it was funny to him, you know.
Anybody get hurt?
No, but, you know.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about either. He's talking about trying to be Peter Pan for the rest of his life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's suing you for $2,500 because he said he got burned and it hurt and it got infected.
I have the shirt too, by the way.
Let me see it.
It's kind of
That's
dirty.
pretty scary.
I haven't washed it since then, but
It's pretty scary. Did you ever say I'm sorry?
Yeah, I did. You know,
no, he didn't.
When? Just a second. When did you say I'm sorry?
At the time, I mean, we were still laughing, so I probably didn't take it.
Who was laughing?
I was. Scott was as well.
I'm laughing too. $2,500 for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Judges, number 10 on the calendar in the matter of McBriar versus Golden. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. Be seated, please. Have a seat.
I've read your papers. Miss McBriar, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for about 4 years.
Yes.
During that time, he says he paid all the bills. Is
Yes,
that right?
That's right.
But prior to your separation, which was not a happy one, according to what I've read, she says you ran up a phone bill of about $640.
That's not true.
Well, tell me about it.
Your Honor, I have the phone bills right here. What I do, Your Honor, is every month I am on a fixed income. So every month...
What kind of fixed income?
I am on disability. I am on SSI. Okay, so every month what I do is I call the phone company and I asked one of the reps what is the amount of my phone bill before I even get it, so I'll know how much I'm going to pay out for my phone bill. So on April 17th, I got up and I called the phone company. Bernard was still in the bed, he was asleep.
And I asked her the amount of my phone bill, and she told me it was $624.13.
For 1 month?
For 1 month.
Yes.
And so I was speechless. I was speechless, and I automatically just started sweating because I had never had a phone bill that big in my life, you know, and so I couldn't speak to her. I kind of just.
So what happened?
So what happened was I said, well, what made the bill $624 and you know, what made the bill this high? You know, I was actually yelling at her, you know, and so she said, well, you have quite a bit of long-distance phone calls on your bill to Virginia. Most of them are to Virginia, and you have a lot of toll calls.
So she sent you a bill. You ultimately got a bill.
Yes, I did get the bill.
Would you get the bill? Sure. Thank you. So what happened? You got this bill. He's sleeping.
He's sleeping.
You woke him up, I assume.
Yeah. Yes, I did. No,
I'm curious, how did you wake him up?
Actually, I didn't wake him up. I got off the phone with the rep, and I sat there because I didn't want to go in a rage and yell at him, like, you know, and start this big thing.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so he was coming out the bedroom when I was going to approach him, and it was in the hallway. And so I said, Bernard, I said, why did you run my phone bill up to $624?
Did you say it in that tone?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And so he said, baby, I didn't know I did that. And so I said, well, you did.
What was the phone bill usually on a monthly basis?
Usually on a monthly basis, my phone bill runs me maybe $40, $50 at the most.
Okay. Your financial arrangement with Mr. Golden was that he paid the rent on the apartment?
He paid the rent and the utilities.
Well, the phone is a utility.
Well, the phone was not a utility. No, it was not. Because that was my phone in my name.
So he paid the gas and electric and the rent. And what about the food? Who paid the food?
I bought the food.
Sometimes she did. Not all the time. She never bought food. She always claimed with accusations of different bills.
All right, I'm just trying to get some sense of the financial arrangement.
No, excuse me, Your Honor. You know I bought food. Don't you sit up here and lie and tell me I did not buy food.
No,
I
he
bought
didn't.
food every month.
Madam,
Not
look at me.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
yell at him. He said that you bought some food and he bought some food.
Oh.
That's what he said.
Okay.
All right. But he paid the rent. How much was the rent?
The rent was $650. I mean $550. I'm sorry.
Okay, plus the utilities.
Plus utility, lights, and gas.
Okay, and your arrangement was whatever the overage was on this phone bill, you were supposed to pay for it.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. She says that you joined the psychic hotline.
No, that's not true.
Did you do that?
No.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did, Your Honor.
Order.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Yeah. Yes, he did. I have proof that he joined the psychic hotline.
Let me see it.
No, I did not.
Did you call the psychic hotline?
No, I did not. I
Yes,
don't know
he did.
anything
You
about
never
it.
did?
Never did.
Matter of fact,
She has a block on her phone for 900 numbers. She has a block on her
Yes,
telephone
now- yes.
for all the calls that you can't
All right.
call long distance
Did you
at
ever see this phone bill, Mr. Golden?
all. No,
Well,
Your
we're
Honor.
going to show it to you. I was curious, Ms. McBriar, about something else that I read in your complaint. Because you said during that morning when you confronted, look at me, madam.
Yes.
During that morning, you said because you feared what he might do, you called the police on him.
Well, I called the police on him because, see, Bernard has threatened to kill me. He has threatened to kill me. He has done a lot of things. He has a domestic violence record already. And he does not like police. He told me if I ever called the police on him again that he would kill me.
Had he done anything to you before you called the police that day?
That day he hadn't done anything to me, no.
But you were afraid once you confronted him with the phone bill, he was
I was afraid for my life.
Could I finish?
Yes,
you can't talk over each other.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but
Okay.
I'm upset. I'm very upset.
All right. He said, so you called the police came, you left?
I wasn't home when the police came. I wasn't at there at all.
Had you known that she called the police?
I didn't know who she was calling on. I know she was, she just said, I'm pressing charges, as far as I know, when I was leaving the house.
What were you pressing charges for?
No, excuse me, Your Honor. You know what? He's lying, okay? He's lying.
About what?
Okay, when I called the police, they asked me, like they always do when I call the police, they asked me what was he wearing. When I was describing to them what he was wearing, he took off on his bike out the side gate. Okay. So I wouldn't describe what he was wearing.
That's not true. I was leaving anyway to make a phone call because I didn't want to use her telephone because she was already furious of me about the bill.
You didn't want to use my telephone. You always use my telephone. That's why it's $747
you-
at this
you very
time.
selfish with your phone.
But yes, I'm
Byrd,
selfish with
Byrd,
my
tell
phone
me.
because.
Ma'am.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He asked God to destroy me, to not talk on the phone.
Miss McBriar, everybody's got a wish list. That's his wish list.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tamara McBriar wants her ex-boyfriend to pay the $600 phone bill she says he left behind when they split.
Miss McBriar,
Yes.
let me tell you what I don't understand here. Okay?
Yes.
At the start of this case, you told me that each month you called the phone company because you're on this fixed disability income.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
What's the nature of your disability?
Panic attacks.
And how long have you been on
Since
disability?
1989.
You told me that you called the phone company each month so that you could set aside an amount of money
Yes,
for
Your
the
Honor.
phone bill. Now, these phone bills that you presented me with, so I assumed when you called, this $624 was for 1 month. But that's not true according to these phone bills. You're showing me bills for December, January, February, March, all totaling.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I'm not showing
Well,
you.
then-
No, I'm not.
Just a second. Then I have the bills for March,
You have the
which
bill-
you're talking about, and the bill for March, the total bill. Trying to figure it out.
I have the March bill right here. The
Oh,
March
you didn't
10th.
hand it to me. You didn't hand me the front page of the March bill. Let me see the front page of the March bill, please.
That was never paid. Also, this
Just
was.
shh. Listen to me. I want you to look at these bills, madam. You're telling me that all the phone calls he made that are in question now are the bills for that 1 month, March and April, because you told me that you called each month before that to get your bill.
Yes, I do. Your
Well,
Honor.
then take these back. Take a look at those. Those say December and January.
Okay.
Am I correct? Am I correct?
No, they say April 10th.
No, keep
April
reading.
10th.
Read the phones. Read the dates on the phone calls.
Okay, yes, the dates on the phone call. Those were the dates that the phone calls were made.
December, correct?
Yes.
January. Keep going. Keep looking.
I see December, January. Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, so I assume you paid those.
No, I did not pay these.
Well, so I'm not following you. If you didn't pay those and you got those bills in December, January, February, and you didn't pay those bills, then you knew that there was an outstanding balance because your March bill is only $120.97.
Right.
It's $120.97.
Yes. That's money that I had to take and pay for Bernard because, see, when I would ask Bernard to pay the phone bill, he would tell me that he couldn't give me the money at the time because he had to pay the rent. But I would try to explain to him that I have to pay the phone bill because my phone would be disconnected.
Let me tell you what I don't understand. Those bills that I returned to you had a lot of long-distance calls, December, January, whole bunch of long-distance calls that you have marked off as Bernard's calls.
Exactly.
You, of necessity, had to get those bills in either the end of December or the beginning of January, the beginning of February. What did you do with those bills that you got?
What did you mean what I did with that?
Did Bernard pay them or did you pay them?
I paid them.
He had all those long-distance calls on December and January. Didn't you discuss that with him?
Yes, I did.
Did he pay them?
No, he did not.
Had she discussed them with you?
No, well, the early ones in the past she had, and I gave her $100 before the month before I vacated the apartment. I gave her approximately $100 on the phone bill, contribute towards it, to make for all my calls, local or long distance. And that's when when she told me about the new bill, was the bill had not came yet after I gave her $100 for the first bill. That new bill came after I have gone and left the apartment, vacated.
Well,
Your Honor.
you see, this new bill for $661 doesn't list the phone calls on it.
Well, you asked me for the whole bill.
I understand that, but it's very hard for me to follow, Miss McBriar, because On the last bill, it doesn't list the phone calls. How is he supposed to know which phone calls he made?
It doesn't list the phone calls because those are the phone. Okay, that $661 is including. It hasn't been paid yet because I can't pay it. I don't have the money because they're Bernard's calls. I mean, I want my money for my phone bill. Your Honor, listen to me, please.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Please listen to me.
I'm trying.
This man, this man here is lying to you.
No, listen, Miss McBriar, look at this. I want you to look at your March 10th statement. Okay? Look at your March 10th statement. How much does it say is owed on the March 10th statement?
$120.97.
All right. So as of March 1997, you owed $120.
Yes.
Just a minute. Okay. Where is the April bill?
I have the April bill.
Tell me what is owed. And just a second, when did you move out?
I moved out possibly on the, let's see, what was it? It was, what was it, date? That's about March.
No,
what date did he move out,
He moved out April 17th.
I knew she'd remember. Women always remember those things. Then forget. He moved out on April 17th?
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
All right. Now, so your March bill was $120.
Yes.
Now let me see the April bill.
Okay. April, here we are. Let me get it together here. Okay, this is the April bill.
Let me see it, please, with all the calls on it.
Let me make sure I got them together for you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I'm not going to let anyone run my phone bill up to $640 and not pay it. That's just not me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bernard Golden says he shouldn't have to pay a $600 phone bill because he supported Tamara McBriar for 4 years when they were living together.
Oh, you see, I see what happened, Mr. Golden. Now I got it. You made a lot of third-party calls. Because evidently the third-party calls that you made, whoever it was said, I'm not accepting these calls, so they put it all back on her bill in April. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened, Your Honor.
Yeah, I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get it. I knew I'd get it. Because the April bill, sir, reflects the fact that all of these phone calls were made in December. Called from Pasadena to Washington, Sacramento, Hampton, Monterey. You know what people in those areas, sir? What were you doing, making third-party calls? Listen to me. Were you making third-party calls?
Making third-party calls? Yes.
That's what I said.
I was making collect calls.
Well, evidently, whoever initially took the collect call, sir, decided against it. Would you show him these numbers, please? Now, Mr. Golden, you say in your answer that this is all a conspiracy, sir, because she's got a new boyfriend. She wanted you out of the house.
That's true.
That's true.
That's 100% true. Yes. Yes. Plus, what happened was with conspiracy is that she's been talking to her ex-lover for a long time since she's been with me. He's been using up his dad's credit card and showering her down with gifts from the body shops, spending Christmas gifts.
Mr. Golden, did you join the psychic hotline?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
No, ma'am, I did not.
Take a look at those. Take a look at those.
I don't know
bills.
how that got on his bill because she has a block.
Okay, take a look at those calls, sir. Those numbers have a familiar ring.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them, not all.
Your Honor,
Not
can
all.
I please show you some evidence?
I have just one quick question for you, Mr. Golden. How do you know her phone is blocked for
Because
that?
she told me. Because I made long-distance calls straight from the house, and she
Yeah.
put a block on it
While you were together.
while we were together.
A vote of
And I paid
confidence
for
for
them.
you. Yes.
And I paid for the
All right.
calls.
Give me those phone calls. Now I understand what happened. Or you wanted to show me some evidence before I make a decision in this
Yes,
case?
yes, Your
Okay.
Honor, please.
I'll take the bill back. Yeah. What?
You really need to go over this. You need to look at this. And you really need to look at this.
Got to get ready for this.
You need to look at this. You need to look at this. And you really need to look at this. All right.
And you can read one of them prayers for me too, Your Honor.
These are prayers, sir?
There's a prayer. My special prayer.
No,
I'm praying to
his
Jehovah
special
Adonai.
prayers to
My
whoever.
father.
No, it's
When
not
she
your
was
father.
Just a second. How is this relevant to the phone bill?
Just go ahead.
I don't want to read them all, please. I don't have time. I've got a lot of other work to do
They're
today.
relevant to the phone bill because he asked God to destroy me, to not talk on the phone, and get rid of my girlfriends and destroy me, rebuke me.
That's because
Listen to me, Miss McBride. Everybody's got a wish list. That's his wish list.
Oh, my God. Well, his wish list is terrible. His wish list is
What
terrible.
is this? What is
it's
this?
terrible. Look at that. Look where he's from. Look at
That's
that.
my birth certificate.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know she had that.
Oh yeah, because that's where you call. That's where you call.
Oh, you mean you're just showing this to me to
Yes.
show that he calls Virginia?
Yes.
He doesn't deny that he made all those calls. He can't look me straight in the eye, square in the eye, and tell me that he didn't make those calls. He did make the calls.
Look at that. He said he cut. Look at that. That was me. That was me. That was me. He cut my face out and said he placed it under the Virgin Mary to keep us together.
You know how many wedding albums I've seen with just that sort of thing done in them?
We don't have a wedding album. We're not even married.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
All right, listen to me. You owe her the money, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You can't
Yes, ma'am.
leave her with this phone bill.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that your relationship didn't work out, but it didn't. You
See,
can't
but-
make all these phone calls. They didn't come to
See,
her
you-
until after you had vacated the premises.
See, Your Honor,
Yes.
I don't think it's fair for me to pay the bill because the reason why I said this because I supported her for 4 years. Plus, she's when she was not on disability, she was not taking her medication. I was the one who had to be there by her bedside, take her to the hospital when she had a panic attack from a chemical imbalance.
Excuse me, Your
Listen
Honor.
to me, Mr. Golden. Your arrangement was that you paid your long-distance phone bills while you were living there. Is that right?
True.
That was your arrangement?
Yes.
Because you moved out doesn't mean that arrangement ceases. You have to pay her the money. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $640. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out, please.
And on the next.
This is case number 96 on the calendar in the matter of Cheatham versus Oldenkamp, Celine.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first say that when you prepare papers for court, which are a complaint and an answer, and in your case, a countersuit, you're supposed to prepare them so that the judge, in reading over a file, can understand the nature of your lawsuit. And quite frankly, sir, I don't understand what you're suing for. Something about a computer, something about slander. I have no idea how this problem started. And quite frankly, I don't understand your countersuit either. So, go ahead, Mr. Cheatham.
Now, there are 3 separate cases, as you know. The first case is that I had to move out of my apartment because it had gotten flooded. And Roy was coming over and using the computer every day because we were working on a play together.
So you were writing together?
No, we were working together
What
on
does
a
that
play.
mean?
He was doing the publicity, and at the time I had a client that was doing the play.
What do you mean you had a client that was doing the play?
I had a client who was the star of the show, of the Dorothy Dandridge show. So he was, so he didn't have a computer, so he was coming over all the time to use a computer.
So you're in the publicity business?
I was helping him out, yes, working for him at his place of business. And I have
Which
a
was his apartment?
His apartment, right.
That got flooded?
I never heard anything about it getting flooded or saw any evidence of it.
Go ahead.
So John suggested, John is my housemate, decided that we should leave the computer with Roy while we were out of the apartment and they were repairing it.
Okay.
That's the
Apartment
first
got
part
flooded.
of the case.
You had your computer. You left it with him.
Yes.
Okay. Who bought this computer?
Me.
Do you have his computer?
I have the computer he gave me as partial payment for back wages due for work I did at his address, which is also his business, which I worked at for a year and a half, helping him not just do one play, but his entire business. And I have files and evidence of the things I did. Some of the things that I did while I was there.
Well, so you say he handed this computer over to you as partial payment for the work?
Yes, he said that he was in the process of brokering a deal to sell a painting by Goya, the artist, that his commission, he was selling it to a Hungarian count, and his commission would be at least $350,000.
Did you tell him that?
Your Honor, I can't talk about that case. That case is being in litigation as we speak.
Well,
yes.
you have to talk about it, sir.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you why.
I
Because
did not
he
tell him.
says that you gave him this computer but that you were working on a big deal and that hopefully you were going to get your computer back. Is that right?
No, he was going to pay me more money additionally. The computer was partial payment for monies due. And he came over to my house, set it up, and said he'd have more money for me when this went through, this brokering deal, which I don't know anything about how it happened after that.
Had you owed him any money, sir?
No. Not for work.
Well, how was he being compensated for doing the publicity?
He was working for the show. He was not working for me. He was working for J.H. Doyle Production, and I have the witness to that effect.
This witness?
This witness.
Would you stand up, please?
Certainly.
Who are you?
I'm Sloan Robinson. And
what
I
do you
was
do?
the actress that was doing the play Yesterday Came Too Soon, the Dorothy Dandridge story. And I know that at that time, Roy came on to our production as a publicist. And I do know that they were working together on that production.
That's one thing I did.
The checks for that were supposed to come through Clarence to Roy.
I never got paid for that either.
And
just a second. One thing.
From my knowledge, Mr. Cheatham was not responsible for paying Roy's fee.
That was the actress. She would have no knowledge.
The production company was supposed to be paying his fee.
How do you know that?
That's
Where's the
what I
person
was
from?
told.
You can't tell me what you were told.
Okay.
Sit down.
Okay.
Just a second. Were you doing any other work for him other than on this particular Dorothy Dandridge story?
Yes, ma'am. That play was only 3 months long in its entire gestation to the end of that play. I worked for Clarence for a long time, for I'd say over a year and a half, doing many other projects.
Well, why did you work for him for nothing, sir?
Well, I didn't. He paid me twice out of the amount I gave him. I have some invoices I'd given him also. And both times that he paid me, he paid one time I came to him and told him I wanted some money. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay an electric bill for you. How's that? So he paid the electric bill. The check bounced, of course, and then he did another payment with another fraudulent check that bounced.
I knew.
Just a
he
second.
really hasn't paid
So
me.
the answer is, all this year and a half, he didn't pay you.
Well, that's the Hollywood side of it. He is also my agent. So as my agent, he constantly would tell me, well, Roy, as soon as these deals break, I'll have the money for you. He's a very smooth talker. It's what he does.
Just a second. So you were working for him, but he was also your agent and supposedly working for you.
Yes.
He needed money because Clarence never got him any work as a writer. So Clarence said, well, work for me as well while we're trying to get all this done.
Plus, I had a full-time job all this time.
How do
This
you
was just
expect?
additional
Are you
work.
a writer, sir?
No, I'm not a writer.
Well, what do you do?
I manage some writers, and I arrange funds for various film projects. And I was
When did you give him this computer to keep for you?
It was in March or April or something like that. I don't remember. But I know that what had happened, as I said, the apartment flooded. We had to leave the apartment until they fixed it. And I didn't want to put it in storage. He was working on the play. So therefore, I was trying to be a decent person and just let him keep it. But he said that John owed him money, and that I owed him money. He has never given me any invoices. I've not ever paid. He wasn't working for me. He had a full-time job. How could he work for me?
He has copies of
I
the
work
invoices.
all day.
Clarence, I worked for you weekends and
not
after
worked
work
for
all the
me.
time. I was at your house burning the midnight oil.
This accordion file on the floor is a partial bit of the work Roy's
Who are
done
you?
for him.
Just a second. Who are you?
I'm his sister, and we
what do
live
you have?
together.
Are you in business?
plaintiff.
He's suing
She's the
Giselle.
slander.
He's suing me for slander.
That's the one
No,
who
just a second.
slandered.
You're his sister. Are you in business with him?
I help him out occasionally, but I'm not technically in business with him, no.
This is getting very complicated. How much time do I have this afternoon?
Not much.
Do you, you're Mr. Olden?
Olden Camp, yes, ma'am.
Olden Camp. You have a lot of businesses?
I work full-time job in the daytime. And then
What
I
do you
help
do?
them out. In the daytime, I work administrative services at a company in the Valley. That means we help do supply and for an entire building of 200 people.
And you live alone, sir?
I live with Giselle.
We're roommates.
Right.
Fine. Do you have your own computer?
I have my own laptop computer, yes.
Fine. Give him back his computer. That's one. Give him back his computer. That's the way he makes a living. You don't have another computer, do you?
No, I don't.
His laptop is
just a second.
mine as well.
What?
We both use the laptop.
Good. You can only use it one lap at a time. His computer goes back to him. Now, what's next?
The next is that Giselle,
that's her,
called Sloan, who I was working with, who's a business associate, and she will testify. And on the message, Sloan had said, Clarence, you have to listen to this message. I said, I really don't want to listen to it. It wasn't interesting, so she had to finally talk me into listening to it. And I quote exactly to you what Giselle said. It's the most heinous of things that you could ever accuse a human being of. She said, and I'll give you a copy of it, I just want to warn you about Clarence. He had the police come here about 1 o'clock this morning, which is true. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has turned his anger at me and Roy for some reason. You know he was arrested for child molestation last month. He has just lost it. I just want to tell you to watch out for him. Let's have lunch.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I am not in fear of this man.
Why are you not in fear of this drunken guy who gets on the pipe? This guy is dangerous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Clarence Cheatham, a Hollywood agent, says his former client, Roy Oldenkamp, did not return his computer, and that Roy's sister, Joselle Celine, slandered him.
Did you leave that message on the machine?
Yes, I did.
Would you tell me first why, and then I'd like you to tell me what proof you have that Mr. Cheatham was in fact arrested on a charge of child molestation?
I called and left that message because Sloan, in addition to being a client of Clarence's, is a friend of mine. She's been to my house, we're friends, and I look out for my girlfriends. I'm afraid of this man now, and I wanted her
Joselle,
I'm
sorry. What now? That answers the why.
Right.
Now let's go to the proof. What proof do you have
Clarence
that this man was in fact arrested for anything?
Okay. Clarence called my brother at my home.
This brother?
Yes, he called us to bail him out of jail that night.
She was at the house at the same time when he called.
This is my witness who was also there. They were home working. So Roy put it on speakerphone so he could continue working while Clarence was blethering away. And this is the witness that also heard the conversation of Clarence saying, "Come, can you bail me out? I've been picked up on child molestation charges."
Tell me your name, sir.
My name is James Shefflin.
James?
James Shefflin.
Mr. Shefflin.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
Okay, I manage a rock and roll band, and Roy is stepping up as my publicist. And we do a lot of late evenings. And,
so you were at home in the evening.
I was at his home.
Their home.
Right.
And what happened?
And he got a phone call, and Roy always puts the call on speakerphone.
You mean he picks it up on speakerphone?
I just push speaker. Push.
You push speakerphone.
So he doesn't have to stop what he's
saying.
saying.
And what did you hear, sir?
I heard that he was calling and asking for help to get out of jail. He said, I need help getting out here. Is there any way you can possibly get me out?
Okay. Mr. Cheatham.
Yes.
Were you, in fact, arrested?
Not for child molestation.
That's not what I asked you, sir.
I'll
no,
tell you
listen to me.
Was I
I'm
arrested?
asking you a question.
Was
Were
I
you, in
arrested?
fact, arrested?
Yes, nobody bailed me out.
Mr. Cheatham, you were, in fact, arrested?
Yes.
When?
I have April or February or March, something like that. I don't even remember.
Did you, in fact, call Mr. Oldenkamp?
I didn't. Perhaps John called him. I don't remember calling him.
But you could have.
But I could have.
And you could have called him and asked him to come and bail you out.
You don't bail out child molesters.
Oh, you'd be surprised, sir. You'd be surprised. Did you call and ask them to help you?
No. John is my witness to that. No one. I asked no one because I didn't want anyone to even know that I was there. I was arrested on a $250 charge for disorderly conduct, and hey, you spend one night in jail and you're out.
Just let me ask you this question, sir. Was the original charge disorderly conduct?
That was the original charge.
No, the original charge is child molestation.
Just a second.
Who did I molest?
Mr.
A Hollywood producer's daughter.
Shh. Mr. Oldenkamp.
A 25-year-old
Mr.
woman.
Hey. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your arrest, sir.
The circumstances surrounding my arrest, I went to help a friend move. She said her car wouldn't start. I was standing there to call AAA. The next thing I know, all these white policemen were up on me. There were 10 of them. Because somebody had called and said that we were about to rob, John and I were about to rob them. So, they've called a cab, put us in a cab, and then this cab driver said, well, you guys are probably taking us somewhere to rob me. I just laughed, you know. So and he drove us back, left us at the garage, and as soon as I walked out, they didn't touch John. They arrested me for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct. I have no idea. I was there for one night. It was a $250 fine that every man in that jailhouse laughed at me. You can't get $250. Every man, I'm in there with dope dealers, pushers, murderers and everything. And here it is that they're laughing at me. I was the butt of their joke because I couldn't come up with $250 to get out of jail. It was a $250 fine. You will not, you know, so therefore, never for child molestation. A 25-year-old, you don't molest. You don't molest
What's
a
a 25-year-old?
He said a
25-year-old
Hollywood producer's daughter. Yeah, that's what he said. He said
Clarence
it was a
told me-
Hollywood
when
producer's
Clarence told
daughter.
me on the phone
25 years old.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What happens? This is the payback that I get. I mean, I hope his bad karma is ending here. I hope people in Hollywood will be warned.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hollywood agent Clarence Cheatham is suing Joselle Salim for slander.
The true text of the conversation as he called us was that, Roy, I'm in jail, I've been arrested. I think he said Van Nuys Police Department. He says, you won't believe it, I was arrested for child molestation. I was drunk, I was at a producer's house. I accidentally grabbed her daughter. Of course, he'd say accidentally. She had a cell phone in her hand, ran in the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911. They came and arrested me and took me out of the building. This, I'm just
Why don't you ask
This
John?
is what the phone conversation was.
Why don't you ask John?
First of all, Mr. Cheatham, how many times have you been arrested in your life?
One. I was shocked. I was shocked to be arrested that time.
Who are you?
My name is John Talon. We sit together, and I mean the whole child molesting thing is not.
Well, just a minute. Were you there when he made the phone call to the defendant?
No.
Okay, then you can sit down.
But he was there when I was arrested. He knows why I was arrested.
Just a second.
Did I
Sir.
call Roy? That's the issue
No,
here.
you don't know whether he called him or not.
I couldn't call anybody out of the courthouse because
No,
I didn't know
sir,
how to use the
Mr.
phone.
Cheatham, I want to tell you something. I believe, sir, that you called him. There's no question in my mind that I believe that you called him.
I called him.
I did not call Roy. I don't remember calling him. Perhaps John
No,
might
you
have
don't.
called
You
him.
may not remember calling him, but he knows your voice, sir, as opposed to this gentleman's voice.
Well, I don't think he's telling the truth. They're pulling at straws. They're pulling at straws. Giselle lied and said I was a child molester. That's the issue here, that she slandered me to a business colleague of mine. That is what we have. That's what we have. Has nothing to do with that. This is a business client of mine, and you know it.
Just a second. Well, let me ask you this question, madam. Did you believe the fact that he was a child molester?
No, I did not.
Good. Then we don't have a problem.
There you go.
Because in order for you to prove damages, sir, if she published this
She's no
information...
longer working with me.
Listen to me.
She's no longer working with me as a client, so therefore I've lost income.
No, listen.
Okay.
Mr. Cheatham.
Judy, can I just say something?
Mr. Cheatham. There are two things. I have to make a judgment as to whether the phone call was made and whether I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made. I believe the phone call was made by you, Mr. Cheatham. I don't know whether you were drinking that night or not. This is the person with whom you reside. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So I believe the phone call was made. I believe this person, that he overheard that phone conversation, at least part of it. I don't know why, madam, you felt it necessary to transmit that information to anybody else. There must have been some bad blood, but clearly you didn't believe it, correct?
No, we're not
Did you
friends.
believe?
She did that to malign
Did you?
him because I'm his client.
Did you believe that it was true?
No, I did not.
Did you believe that he had been arrested?
Apparently not. That I had no question. I don't know. That's possible.
That's
but
possible.
as far as him being a child molester, no.
Okay, so you didn't believe it?
No.
Okay, so did you tell anybody else that he was a child molester?
No.
Or that you thought he was arrested for child molestation?
Absolutely.
Did you tell anybody else that?
No.
Okay, so she didn't believe it, so that takes care of that. All right, now I'm going to get to your counterclaim.
I've not been served with such.
You were never served with a counterclaim?
I was never served
You were
with
served by Dan West 2 weeks ago.
I have not ever been served with a cross-complaint. Why would I stand here and lie about that?
Well, I don't know, Clarence. That
Where
sums up the
would
last
he
half
have
hour.
served me 2 weeks ago?
He served you 2 weeks ago at your abode, wherever
Your
you
Honor,
live.
Well, let me...
I do
just
not
one
have
second.
a counterclaim
Just one
against
second.
me.
I'm
I
gonna
cannot
check
be sued for something that
Listen
I
to
don't
me.
know about.
Listen to me. I'm going to go back and check our court records and see whether or not we are in receipt of a filed counterclaim with proof of service.
Perhaps
Do you
you
understand?
are, but I'm not. And perhaps you are, I'm not. I don't know anything about a counterclaim because I certainly would have answered it.
Well, Mr. Cheatham, you can either finish this case in court today.
I want to finish it today.
Then you want to let me see what this cross-complaint is about?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see if I have the papers. Just wait here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's a nut. I can't believe that he started this whole ball rolling in the first place. The man is simply a nut.
Order. Quiet, please.
Mr. Roldenkamp,
Yes, ma'am.
the plaintiff could not have been served 2 weeks ago with your counterclaim,
What?
sir, because you only filed your counterclaim 5 days ago.
It was.
So you can't have been served, sir, with your counterclaim before you filed it. Your countersuit is dismissed without prejudice. You can refile it if you wish and serve him.
That's fine.
And within 48 hours, the computer is to be returned to him.
I don't want him near me to pick up that computer. Can
Fine,
I have someone pick it up?
We will make arrangements for the computer to be picked up.
Thank you. I fear for my safety with him.
You certainly should. We're done.
Step out the back to your case number 148 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Thomas. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You folks are married and are in the process of divorcing. There are a couple of issues that you raised, Mrs. Thomas. First, you raised the issue of some credit card bills that you say your husband owes you.
Yes, ma'am.
And second, you say that you are suing him for pain and suffering during the course of your marriage. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of things I don't understand. How long have you been married?
3 years.
And you have 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are expecting a third.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas says that none of those children are his.
Correct, Your Honor.
And how old is the oldest child?
She'll be 3 in November.
So that you're married 3 years, you have 2.5 children.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are his.
Mm-hmm.
How can you claim that he harassed you?
Because, Your Honor, when we got married, he knew full well that I was pregnant. He said he would accept the responsibilities of being a father to my child.
He said that in his answer.
And when we got married, shortly after we got married, things started changing. He changed and started acting, differently than what he had said he was going to do. And he left and said he had wanted a divorce. And that put stress on my body and on me. And going through a pregnancy, as you know, it's very stressful anyway. And when he left, that put stress on me. I went into premature labor with my daughter. She was born at 36 weeks.
Okay, but she's fine and healthy now, is that right?
She's fine and healthy.
Okay.
Now, when I was pregnant with my second child, he came back and said he wanted to work things out, and we got back together.
Did you tell him that the second child wasn't his?
Yes, ma'am. He knew that it was my son was not his.
The second child?
Yes.
Well, how did that come about? How long were you separated?
We were separated for about 7 or 8 months. And then.
And how pregnant were you when he decided that he wanted to come back?
When he decided to come back, I was like 6.5, maybe 7 months pregnant.
So right away you went out and found somebody else?
No, it wasn't.
Well,
that.
I'm not really good at math. Byrd can attest to that.
Yeah.
But if you were 6.5 months pregnant and you were separated for 7 months, it didn't take you long to find a substitute for him.
No, ma'am, it didn't.
So then what happened?
And then when he decided he wanted to come back, he wanted to get back together with me, I said yes, and we got back together, and everything was fine.
What happened to the father of this child?
I left. Me and him had broken up.
And then what happened?
During my pregnancy, during the end of my pregnancy with Mario, when I was pregnant with him, he said that he would take care of the child. That's why my son is named after him. He's a junior. He signed my son's birth certificate and everything. And
sounds like a nice guy.
Yes, he seemed to be a nice guy, Your Honor. But yeah. Things started changing again.
Like what?
He started started going over to his sister's house. I didn't, have a problem with him visiting his sister and everything, but he would be gone 4 and 5 days at a time and wouldn't even call to say, how you doing or anything. He would just be gone.
So that's the emotional stress that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am. And then, my son has a problem. He has asthma. He had a problem with his lungs when he was born by me going into labor at 34 weeks when he left me the second time.
So then he left you the second time. And how long were you separated the second time?
We were separated for about 9 months, 9.5 months.
And how pregnant are you now?
I'm 8 months pregnant.
Is that the stress that you're suing for? His leaving you?
Yes, ma'am. When he left me in a financial bind as well as an emotional bind also, because we were together and we had bills, like for different bills, like furniture bills and stuff like that. When he left, I had to pay those.
Who has the furniture?
I do.
Now, what are these credit card bills that you're talking about?
Some credit cards that I had gotten, and I had charged some things for him while we were together. Different.
Like what?
Some stuff for his, he has a keyboard, different things for his keyboard and clothing or something.
How much did you charge for him?
$7.
I want to see proof of that.
I have a credit card statement here. It has the balance out that I have been paying on from Sears. That I have here. It has the balance. I just wanted him to pay half of it.
Well, I don't. He's not responsible for the whole balance.
I know half of the balance, Your Honor.
Well, what items are on there?
This credit card statement here does not have the items that are on it. It just has the complete balance that I owe on the bill.
Well, I can't. That's not proof, madam, of anything. I don't know when you made those purchases. I don't know what those purchases were. You say that they were solely for him.
Yes, most of the purchases were.
First you said some, then you said most.
Majority of the purchases were for him.
Well, then you should have brought me the bill that says this is what the items were. You must have that bill.
Yes, I did, but I didn't bring that on. Van Bar was the one that had the total amount due.
Did you ever charge anything on her Sears card, sir?
I didn't know she had one, ma'am.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He plays with women's minds, their emotions and everything, because he thinks he's a pretty boy, that's all.
And later today,
You put any kind of schmutz you want in the washer and dryer and then expect her to take it back.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danielle Thomas is suing her husband Mario for pain and suffering because he left her to raise their 3 kids on her own. Mario says he doesn't believe the children are his and feels he owes her nothing.
Now, I want you to be honest with me. Did you ever charge anything on her Sears card, sir?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. Do you pay any support for her?
No, ma'am.
What about child support? Are you seeking child support from him?
No, ma'am, I am not. Not at this time.
At any time?
No, ma'am.
Not so sure about that. How do you support yourself?
I'm on aid from my state. It's called AFDC for my children.
Mm-hmm. You living with the father of this baby that you're going to have?
No, ma'am. I have my own apartment.
Who is the father of this baby that you're going to have?
Brian.
What does he do for a living?
He works at Sharp, and he works at Federal Express.
And who's the father of your second child?
Moses.
Does he pay any support for the child?
It will be starting in 3 months.
But so far he hasn't paid any support. And the father of your first child?
Raymond, he...
Does he pay support for the child?
No, not through the court system. No, he doesn't. But he does give her money, and he buys her things that she needs.
You have anything you want to tell me, sir?
Yes. A lot of things she said about me changing, that's not true, Your Honor. In the beginning, she told me she was raped. And I had no problem with that. I mean, I could accept it, and because I felt she was being honest with me. And about 2.5 months later, or after everything was rolling all good, it just kept coming back to me because of the way she said it. That it happened in her house and everybody was asleep. And I had already talked to her brother. And her brother had told me that the guy Raymond, she already liked him and was flirting around with him anyway.
So the person that you told you raped her was somebody that you now believe she just went to bed with?
Yes, ma'am, because she admitted to it. When
you confronted her with it?
Yes, ma'am.
So that was just a story that she had been raped?
Yes, ma'am.
So that made you mad?
Hurt and mad at the same time. And what made it so bad is when I asked her, she laughed like it was a joke. And I didn't really know how to say, well, this is over or anything like that. So I took some time and went to my sister's house. And she already didn't like me going to my sister's house anyway.
Okay, but you went to your sister's house really to escape a little bit and to think?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How old are you, sir?
24.
What kind of work do you do?
I work at Baskin-Robbins and I'm a part-time model.
How old are you?
21.
All right, Miss Thomas. You get lecture number 307. Officer Byrd is familiar with this lecture. It's unfortunately one that I have given before. You're 21 years old, going to have 3 children by 3 different fathers, none of whom support their children. Those children are being supported by me and the rest of the taxpayers in this country. You've acted wholly irresponsibly in your life with regard to that, wholly irresponsibly to your children. Not easy growing up as one of 3 children, and each one has a different father. Father's Day in your house, you're going to need a revolving door to set up the visitation. That's immature, irresponsible, and very stupid. Now, I don't know where you get the best word that I can think of is chutzpah, which means nerve, to come into court and sue him for mental and emotional stress. I haven't heard, madam, that he's caused you any mental or emotional stress. As a matter of fact, I think based upon what you've told me and what he's told me, he exercised a great deal of restraint by just walking out of the house and going to his sister's house. As far as these credit card bills that you're talking about, you have produced no proof that is satisfactory to me that he owes you a penny. Nothing. Truth of the matter is, the only thing that's irritating is since you support yourself by welfare and you pay your Sears bill by welfare, I'm really paying the Sears bill. So that's irritating. That's irritating number 3. Your lawsuit is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Alphabetical to your right, please.
He would constantly keep calling and lying to me, saying he wanted to get back with me and everything. And, you know, it's just a bunch of mess. That's all it really was.
And now the next case.
Parties on Williams versus Brazil. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Adrienne Williams says when she was sharing a storage unit with her friend Melvin Brazil, he took her washer and dryer. Melvin says he was only borrowing the appliances and fully planned on returning them.
I love the way your mind works.
Thank you.
I'm not so sure you're right, but I love the way your mind works. You 2 people rented a storage space together. You had just been friends, is that right?
Yes.
You all put your stuff in the storage space. You, sir, sort of borrowed some of her stuff.
A couple items.
You want to tell me what you borrowed?
It was a washer and dryer.
And what did you do with the washer and dryer?
Well, I used it for a few months.
Did you ask her permission?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I knew I wasn't going to be using it that long, but when I went to take it back, it wouldn't fit in the storage because there was stuff stacked up so high, so I had it took to a friend of mine's house that she knew. And it sat there for a while.
To make a long story short, you go there and find no washer dryer.
Right.
And you were closing out the storage space.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I packed up everything in the storage and took it back to Sacramento with me.
Including what?
Including all of his furniture.
Yes!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
$5,000, so it must be a lot of stuff.
No,
right?
It's just expensive stuff.
You mean small and expensive, like me?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melvin Brazil says he borrowed a brand new washer and dryer from Adrienne Williams without telling her. Now, Adrienne doesn't want them back. She wants a new washer and dryer.
You don't think she was wrong, do you?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because we already had arrangements made. She was supposed to contact me that morning, and I was going to get off, and I was going to help her move. I was going to tell her then where her washer and dryer was.
Oh, okay.
You mean you hadn't told her where her washer and dryer?
No, because I knew that she was going to get mad, and I was trying to save her that problem from knowing she was up there and I was down here.
You don't think she had a right to be mad?
This is the way I saw it. She has my pager number, my mother's number, everything. Instead of her just making a rash judgment, taking everything and just taking it back to Sacramento, all she had to do was call me and tell me.
Well, all you had to do was call her.
No, I was at work. I couldn't call her.
Did you let me finish? Don't interrupt me. It's not nice to interrupt a judge. You also, sir, could have called her and said, could I borrow your washer and dryer?
Right, you're right.
Why do you think she should call you and say, what did you do with my washer and dryer, when you didn't have the decency to call her and say, can I borrow your washer and dryer?
Is that a question? You telling me it don't sound like a question.
Anyway, Miss Williams, you don't want that washer and dryer back.
Well, apparently he sold it, so I couldn't have it back if I wanted it back.
Did you sell it?
The washer and dryer sat at my mother's house for 4 months. She could have had that washer and dryer anytime she wanted it.
She said, I don't want it anymore, just like I would say I didn't want it anymore, because you don't know what's been washed in that washer and dryer. She had a washer and dryer that she used for her lingerie, for her underwear, for her sheets and her towels. She knew what went in that washer and dryer. You put any kind of schmutz you want in the washer and dryer and then expect her to take it back after you've stored it, used it. So you sold it. Now you got to pay for it. How old was the washer and dryer?
I bought it in August, and I put it in storage in March, so less than a year old.
And how much did you pay for it?
Approximately $860. I have the receipt here.
Could you give me the exact amount, please?
$823.31.
Now, the rest of what you're suing him for is because he didn't pay for the storage fees, his half of the storage fees. How much were the storage fees a month?
The storage fees were $48 a month.
And how many times did you make the payments of $24 a month, sir?
I paid the last $80 for her to get the stuff out of there.
How many months was
Once.
your stuff in storage, sir?
How many months was my stuff in storage? 4 months.
How many months was his stuff in storage?
His stuff was in storage the majority of the time I had the storage.
No.
We agreed to pay half of the storage cost, period. We agreed to get a storage big enough to hold both of our things. Why would I get a storage big enough to hold 2 apartments worth of things if I was only going to put 1 apartment
How
worth of
many
things
months storage did you pay for?
I had it for 16 months.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I say so. My stuff was only in there for about 4 months.
What difference does it make if you agreed to rent a storage space with her?
But my
and she
stuff
took,
wasn't
I'm
in there at the
speaking. And she took a storage space big enough to accommodate your stuff, which you say is worth $5,000, so it must be a lot of stuff.
No,
right?
it's just expensive stuff.
You mean small and expensive, like me?
Yeah.
16 months, and you paid once?
My stuff wasn't in there 16 months.
Doesn't make any difference.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All right, listen to me. You owe her $1183.31 for the storage and her washer and dryer. Okay. Your account is suing up for $5,000 for the small yet expensive merchandise that you had stored in the storage. You want to tell me what that is?
It's a leather sectional that I had custom made. There's a marble coffee table
Where are
and
the
end
bills?
table.
Where are your bills?
Rebuilt.
Your bills that you had custom made. If you had a leather sofa custom made, you had marble table custom made, I assume that in addition to standing there with your story, you have some proof to show me.
I didn't bring any.
Why not?
Because I didn't think it was going to be relevant. This stuff is, I've had it for years. I don't have any receipts of it.
Well, if you've had it for
cash.
years, then it's not worth what you paid for it. It
I
has
say
a
4 years I had it. Her stuff was used when I had it. Her washer and dryer wasn't brand new.
You stole her washer and dryer.
I borrowed her washer and dryer.
No, you stole it.
I didn't steal it.
You stole
it was
it.
there. She had access to it.
You stole it. You stole her washer and dryer without her permission and never returned it to her.
I tried to return it to her. She wouldn't come get it. It was at my mom's house.
What'd you do with his stuff?
It's still in my garage in the same spot it's been in the day I brought it home.
You have no problem with him getting a large truck and coming to pick up his stuff?
I do. I'd rather deliver it to him. I don't want him at my house.
Oh, that's fine. You sure you want to do that?
Yes.
That was the agreement that
Very
was from the
good.
gate.
Very good. She's going to return your stuff to you, sir.
Your Honor,
And you,
can I say
sir, are going to pay her $1,183.31. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in that amount. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yeah, this is case number 188 on the calendar in the matter of Kessler versus Fields. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
You two gentlemen had some beaut of a fight. And according to you, Mr. Kessler, you were assaulted by Mr. Fields' car, and he almost ran you over, causing you some serious injury. According to Mr. Fields, you assaulted his car, causing damage to his car. So why don't you tell me, gentlemen, how this argument got started?
Basically, to the best of my recollection, I came home for lunch. I had a job offer to move to Dallas. Both of us...
Were you living together at the time?
We were. I came home, took an extended lunch, and we weren't getting along.
Here.
We weren't getting along for some reason. We had a fight. I don't recall exactly what it was. He didn't want to talk about it. He left. I got upset. Didn't want him to leave. Asked him not to walk out on me, and he got in his car, started the engine. I got upset as he started to back out, and I did kick his car. A stupid thing to do, but I did. As he backed out of the driveway, he pulled across the street, backed up into the driveway, and put his car forward and slammed into the back of my car, which is parked parallel in front of my house in the street.
Okay, so let me understand this. You kicked his car.
Yes, ma'am.
He backed out his car and hit your car with his car.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Just before he had backed out, a police officer had driven by, and after he smashed into the back of my car, I ran out to flag the officer down. I was standing behind my car when I got out to the street. It happened very quick. The next thing I knew, I was on his hood, and he sped up.
Just a minute. You didn't fly on his hood.
No, he hit me.
He hit you?
With his car.
From the front?
Yes.
Go ahead.
After I was on his hood, he sped up and was going down the street, and
With you on the hood of the car?
With me on the hood of his car. I was holding on to his windshield wipers to not be thrown off. When I realized what was going on, I got very angry, and I did tear the left windshield wiper off. When I did that,
well, that was sort of foolish, sir, because according to you, you were holding on for dear life to these two windshield wipers. One would have thought that you would have held on to them and not broken off your last link to safety, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. Kessler.
I do not recall what was going through my mind. It just happened so fast.
Well, what usually goes through your mind when you're in a situation that is very dangerous is how to best protect myself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The best way for you to protect yourself at that moment was to hold on for dear life to the only two things that you could grab hold of, which were the two windshield wipers. Not to break one off and throw it away. Then you're holding on with one hand. Right, Mr. Kessler?
Yes, ma'am. I did grab onto his hood after, the top part of the hood, and I was holding onto that. And
how do you hold on to the top part of a hood that's closed?
Underneath. You can grab onto it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't recall this. This part happened so fast, I don't recall.
Okay.
But
you do remember that you pulled off his windshield wiper?
Yes, and I was still holding onto the right windshield wiper, and I must have had my hand somewhere where I didn't. I was still on the hood of the car. He slammed on his brakes. When he did so, the right windshield wiper came off in my hands because I had a firm grip on that windshield wiper. I flew back, landed on my back, hit my head. The next thing I know, the bumper was somewhere up here above my head. It happened really quick. He threw the car in reverse, started going backwards. I felt, pain in my back and in my head at that point, and I screamed. I threw the windshield wiper at his car. It hit his windshield and shattered it. And after that happened, I heard a car coming up behind me. I tried to stand up, and I couldn't. The police officer asked me what happened. I said, I don't know, we had a fight. He went nuts. He's slamming into my car. Please stop him. Basically, I was able to get up, and I hopped on my left foot back to my car. That's when I realized something was wrong. I didn't know my leg was broken or my ankle was broken or what was wrong with it. That's basically it.
Now, do you want to hear the truth?
Well, I'll hear your side of the story, sir, and then I'll decide who's telling the truth.
What happened was, he came home for lunch. I was getting ready to leave. My car was ready and running. Came home to explain the transfer to Dallas, whatever. I explained to him that I thought it was a great opportunity, that he should do it, that he should go ahead and go down there. It would take me at least a couple months to get all my things organized. He took it as it was a final decision of a breakup, whatever. Then we led into an argument. It had been going for about an hour. I had to leave. I was late. So I went, got in my car. He was still irritated, mad, whatever you want to say. Followed me out to my car, still screaming at me. Then that's when he kicked the door. I backed out, was starting to back out. He kicked the door again. I pulled out into the street. At that point, I felt that I had taken way too much of his crap before and after and during that situation. So I proceeded to run into the back end of his car. As soon as I was done with that, I was done and over with it. I started to back up, pull away. He stood in front of my car, would not let me leave, so I kept inching the car forward. He jumped on the hood, grabbed both of my windshield wipers, and started proceeding to like rip them off. So I did take the car up to about getting ready to go into third gear. Slammed
What
on
does that mean, third gear?
30 miles an hour, so went a good couple blocks. And decided to slam on my brakes.
Mr. Fields.
Well,
not smart.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Then that's when he went flying off with both windshield wipers in hand. I figured it was done, over with, I was out of it. He then proceeded to stand up with windshield wiper in hand and slammed the windshield wiper into my windshield, busted it. I have the receipt for the windshield. When he did that, that's when I said, okay, enough's enough. You want to play this game? We'll play this game further.
Sounds like the War of the Roses to me. It's a good thing there wasn't a chandelier around. Woo!
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We did get into screaming matches quite frequently because it gets a little old when you're living with somebody who refuses to talk to you.
And later today,
he didn't follow instructions. He had a lot of conceit for his work, and I don't like green eggs and ham, Sam. I am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Litton Fields admits he was extremely angry at his lover, 29-year-old Scott Kessler. Litton claims running him over in his car was an accident and doesn't feel he should pay for Scott's medical expenses.
Were you a witness to this thing?
No, ma'am. I'm just here because he can't do anything with his ankle.
If he can't do something on his ankle, he'll tell me.
Yeah.
You're not a physician, are you?
No.
Can you do anything on your ankle?
The only activity I can still do is snow ski with some pain. The boot holds my ankle together.
Is it your right ankle or your left?
It's my right ankle.
Your right ankle. Is that the same foot that you kicked his car with?
Yes.
Twice?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, gentlemen, clearly, based upon what you both told me, you cared about each other for a long time. You lived together. What I don't understand, Mr. Fields, is your reaction in taking this car up to 30 miles an hour with him on the hood. Let me tell you why I don't understand that. We all lose our tempers. Clearly, you both lost your temper, because I think that somewhere in the middle of what you both told me is the truth. You can replace a windshield, you can replace a dent to your car, you can replace him going into your car, because sometimes people, when they're hot, they do those things to other people's property, even people that they care about. But the physical part of it, the accelerating your car to 30 miles an hour and then slamming on the brakes, not smart.
I agree.
Now, Mr. Kessler, you started it. You understand that?
I made the first stupid move, yes, ma'am. I do have records from my doctor, signed statements that show, and I have pictures, that I have bumper impaction contusions on both of my legs where I was struck by the bumper. I was hit by the car.
I don't doubt that you hurt yourself.
And my ankle was completely crushed when the tire ran over it.
Could I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Ankle looks pretty bad. Have you seen these photographs?
No, I haven't.
Well, I'd like you to take a look at them, Mr. Fields.
I do have a signed doctor's statement stating that I was struck by a car. It was obviously that I was struck by a car.
Sir, statements from a professional witness can tell me that you had a broken tibia, that you had this or that, but a doctor can't tell me how it happened, because that is a judicial determination made after hearing evidence. I mean, there's no question that you were injured. What were your medical bills, and were any of them uncovered?
My medical bills were in excess of $10,000
How much
to
were covered?
reconstruct my ankle. I believe about $7,000 of them were covered by my insurance.
What do you mean you believe? Don't you have the bills there, sir?
I do have a lot of bills. Between the insurance company and the lawyer that I hired at first, I did not get all my paperwork back from him.
Well, I can't even consider, sir, your application for certain medical bills without a clear figure about what medical bills were left uncovered.
Well, I have statements here showing
Mr. Kessler, when you come to court, you're supposed to be prepared, sir.
I have a statement here for several bills that are showing what is owed by me. Apparently they are more than what I expected. I still have continuing medical bills to this day. I have another surgery I have to schedule for next month, which will not be covered because it's a pre-existing injury.
Mr. Kessler, I can't give you anticipatory damages, sir. Do you have a figure for me of what your unreimbursed medical bills are to date, sir?
Unfortunately, I have outlines of bills here that I received from my attorney. He refused to return any of the other paperwork to me. I do have future medical bills. I have records here that state that I am going to need another surgery.
I cannot, as I told you, Mr. Kessler, give you anticipatory damages. I've already told you that.
Okay.
Mr. Kessler, so is the bottom line, sir, is you do not know exactly.
What I'm suing for mainly is besides medical bills, is loss of enjoyment of life. I cannot run, jump, I cannot water ski, I cannot do anything anymore. I never will the rest of my life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That I jumped on his car, that's absolutely ridiculous. There is no way I jumped on his car. His car hit me.
And later today.
In this case, he loves that caricature because it was taken 20 years ago. That's probably the last time he looked good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Scott Kessler is suing his former lover, Lytton Fields, after a lover's quarrel turned violent. The judge is ready to rule.
Mr. Kessler, I do not excuse what he did. This was a terrible argument. I believe that you were at least partially responsible because you jumped on the hood of his car. You jumped on the hood of his car and you grabbed his windshield wipers. You placed yourself in harm's way. That does not excuse him from doing what he did, which was accelerate the car and then stop short. This wasn't a case where you were crossing the street and you were hit by his car. I am not giving you any money, sir, for lack of enjoyment of your life. You are partially responsible for what happened to you. He is going to pay your unreimbursed medical bills to date. If you do not have those unreimbursed medical bills to date, sir, I cannot order any money on your behalf. Wait until you have your second surgery and sue him again. Do you want to do that so that you've done it on all in one ball of wax? I'm more than happy to allow you to withdraw this proceeding without prejudice to you refiling when you have accumulated all of your medical bills. Unreimbursed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. The only thing that I have to say as far as jumping on his car is I do have, there's no way I could have jumped on his car.
I believe that that's exactly what happened, sir.
I have pictures proving that I have bruises below my knee.
Listen to me, sir. I don't know when the bruises came about. I don't know whether they came about when you fell off, when you jumped on. Mr. Kessler, that's my finding, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to make an award based upon nothing more than conjecture in your original statement that you had approximately $3,000 in unreimbursed medical bills, and I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to give you the $3,000, or do you want to withdraw this proceeding without prejudice to having it renewed when you have your next surgery, and then you can get all of your bills together? What do you want to do, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I will do that then.
Fine. This matter is marked withdrawn without prejudice. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Back over to your right, please.
Much more nasty now. It gets a little old when you're living with somebody who refuses to talk to you, doesn't give you any reason why he won't talk to you. None of your friends can stand him because my own family, when he came out to visit, could not believe that I was seeing somebody with his attitude.
And now the next case.
Parties on Lane versus Tynan. Step forward, please.
Los Angeles artist Jack Lane claims he was contracted to draw a caricature of 45-year-old Dan Tynan, but he never paid him for it.
Mr. Lane, you are an artist.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, you were commissioned by the defendant to do a caricature of him.
Yes.
For a Rotary Club. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did the caricature.
Yes.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
And you sent it to him. And he didn't pay you for it.
That's right, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, he had sent me the caricature, or he had solicited me to draw a caricature for my demotion party.
Tell me what a demotion party is.
Demotion party is at the end of my presidency in my service club. We have a party at the end of the year. At that party, we usually get some form of gift. He had done this for other clubs, and he had solicited me saying, can I do this for your club? I said, come to my office. I made an appointment. He came to my office. And at that time, I showed him a caricature that I keep on my wall, Your Honor. And I instructed him that this is the caricature that I wanted, something like this with a couple of exceptions. The exceptions were to put my logo on my cap and to put something else in my hand other than a hot dog, like a hammer or a gavel or something. Then he proceeded to draw.
Well, did he do it in front of you, sir? Did he do the drawing while you were sitting in your office?
No, we went outside into the parking lot and he continued to draw. After he drew, he showed me the drawing, and it was nothing like this. It was something that he draws himself, more of a portrait than a caricature. I said that that is still not what I had drawn, that I had with the changes. He said he was going to go back, ink the difference or ink something, and that he would mail it to me.
Okay, so he went home and he drew this?
He went home, he drew that, sent it to me. That was not the cartoon.
Just a second. You sent it to him?
Yes.
When did you send it to him, sir?
I billed him and sent it to him 5/1.
May 1st?
Yes.
And you received it when, sir?
Somewhere mid-May.
Let's say you received it the beginning of the second week in May.
Very good.
What did you do with it?
Once I saw the caricature, I knew that I would not use it for my demotion party because it wasn't what I had commissioned or what I had asked for. When he sent the second billing request, I packaged it and mailed it back to him.
When did he send the second billing request?
July, I believe.
And your demotion party was in June?
In June, yeah, late June.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're going to pay this bill, sir, and I'm going to tell you why. Very simple. I would have complete sympathy for your position if when you received this in May, beginning of the second week in May, before your demotion party, you put it back in the envelope and you sent it back to this gentleman and you said, this is not what I bargained for. I'm not interested in it. If you want another opportunity to do what I did in fact commission, because this quite frankly is an adorable caricature, absolutely adorable, but it's not exactly what I want. It doesn't have a gavel in the hand and I don't like the logo, because those were the two things that you complained about.
Yes.
Right? So it would be very easy for him to put a gavel in your hand and to change the logo. You didn't give him an opportunity to do that. You didn't even have the common courtesy to respond to his first billing. You waited until July, 2 months later, and then you packed it up and sent it back to him. That's bad form. He just bought himself a caricature. Give it to him.
Your Honor.
Mr. Lane, you won.
Yeah.
$92.01 to the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Ask for better than that.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 240 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I'm going to try to make this rather complicated case as simple as I can. You are not related to each other, even though you have the same last name.
No.
You are neighbors.
Yes.
She borrowed your car.
Yes, she did.
And it was involved in some sort of a traffic accident, and it was damaged.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And you want her to pay for the damage to the car.
Yes, I do.
She says that while you were babysitting for her, jewelry was stolen from her house. So she's countersuing you for the jewelry. She said, therefore, she doesn't have to pay for the car. Is that this case?
Yes, it is.
So at least we have one thing that's a given. You damaged her car.
Yes.
Now, in what month, date and month, did you damage her car? And you don't know this right off the top?
July 12th, Your Honor.
No, I don't.
July 12th is when you borrowed the car.
Yes.
How was it damaged? Tell me.
I was damaged on the on the driver's door.
And how did you do that?
I didn't do it. A car hit her car while I was parked.
So she says, Your Honor.
Whatever. You weren't there.
Right.
But it was damaged while it was in your control.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not covered by insurance.
No, it's not.
Why did you let her borrow your car?
Because she asked me if she can borrow my car to go to the grocery store.
That's not true.
And I said, do you have a driver's license? And she said yes. And I let her drive my car. When she left, my car was a brand new car.
No, I understand that. She's acknowledging that the car was damaged while it was under her control. Did you have a driver's license?
No, I did not.
Why? Why did you use her car without having a driver's license?
She sent her daughter to come get me, to go to Lucky's, to go get some milk and cereal for her daughter because she was sick.
Your Honor.
I did her a favor.
Your Honor. She asked me to use my car. The first question I asked her, before I even answered her, was, do you have a driver's license?
That's not true.
She said yes.
Just a second. Did you have insurance?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I had got the car in May, and I moved in June. I guess my insurance papers, from what the car dealership told me, went to my old address. Being that I didn't get them in time, they pinned it because I only had it a month after I got my car.
Well, so far you both sound very responsible. No insurance, no driver's license. It's a perfect match.
Okay.
All right. Now, when allegedly was this jewelry stolen and how? What month?
It was stolen August 23rd.
All right. 8/23. Now, between July 12th, when the car was damaged, and August 23rd, why didn't you pay her for the damage?
Because, for one thing, when after the accident had happened, okay, I came straight to Rolanda, and I said, Rolanda, someone had hit your car. We came out, we looked at the car. She said, Rhonda, don't worry about it. It's not that much damage. It could have happened to me if I'd have had your car. She said, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Come on now.
Shh.
All right.
And so?
And so that was it, okay? August 23rd was my birthday. We needed a babysitter.
Just a minute. So are you telling me that between July 12th, when our car was damaged, and August 23rd, there was no other discussion about paying for the car?
None. None.
Okay. You say there was?
Yes, there was.
When was there?
When she came back, when she pulled back into the parking lot, and I came outside and seen my car, and I'm just shaking my head, and she was like, Rolanda, I'm going to help you fix your car. She said she's been knowing people who can fix my car, Your Honor. She said she's been knowing people, and I'll come to her door, I'll ask for some time. I'll be like, have you talked to someone?
No,
and she'll be like, yeah, I know somebody who will fix the car.
Okay.
You know, and then she got mad one night and was like, I'm not going to fix your car.
Who are you?
I'm her witness and roommate. We live together. When she was at the store, I was at Rolanda's house sitting, waiting for her because the store is not very far from where we stay at. Okay, when she came back, all three of us walked out where the car is parked at in front of our apartment building, and we looked at the car. You know, I was looking like, where's the dent, you know? And it was very small, like maybe if someone opened their door and maybe hit the car or something like that, that's what it looked like. To me, it wasn't major
I'm
at
going
all.
to see pictures of it. I assume the pictures are
It
here.
wasn't
Yes,
major
I do
at all.
have my
So-
pictures to prove that they're not little itty bitty dents.
I have pictures
I have
too.
some I have some damages that.
Just a shut.
Okay.
That's certainly not an itty bitty dent.
No, and that wasn't the dent that was in that car. Neither. Her car had been hit 3 times since that accident.
Well, when did you take pictures of it?
Maybe about 2 weeks ago when I knew that she was following this.
Just a second. 2 weeks ago this happened? 3
July
months
the
ago?
12th, Your Honor.
Yes, but
My case
I didn't know
was-
she was going to file no suit against me or anything like this.
When were these pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken 3 days ago.
3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Not interested in these pictures?
Well,
I
have
want to
an
see the
estimate.
estimate.
Okay. I have
right
an estimate,
after
Your
July
Honor.
12th.
I have an estimate, Your Honor, proving how much my driver's door does not open. My window is broken.
That window was in that
There
car.
has been rain in my car, the door. I mean, it's rain, it's mildew stains inside of my car.
Your husband
Just a
broke
minute.
the window.
Hey! This damage report is 2.5 months after this incident.
Yes. Okay. Your Honor, I'm telling the guys all the truth. She damaged my car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that.
And later today,
Whoever made the decision that this was not going to be a long-term relationship, whether it was you or whether it was him,
It was me.
whoever it was, you're very lucky.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rolanda Davis says after she loaned her car to her neighbor, 36-year-old Rhonda Davis, she returned it with extensive damage. Rhonda admits the car was wrecked, but says Rolanda stole a gold ring from her home, making them even.
She acknowledges she damaged your car. You do not have an estimate within a day, a two, a week after the accident.
Right.
$1,500 is practically what they charge just to look at a car. One of these car doctors, they come out in a white coat and they look at it. The looking costs $1,500. So we're not talking about a lot of money. The damage that you caused to the car was at least probably $1,500.
Yes.
If they have to pull it out, they have to repaint it, they have to buff it out. You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So $1,500 she's entitled to for the car. Now, you have to prove to me that she took your jewelry. Prove it.
Only way that I can prove it is that when we got ready to leave, when I got to the club, Jocelyn noticed that my jewelry was gone. What I did, I immediately got on the phone. I called Rolanda. I dialed my number. Rolanda answered my phone. She said, hello. I said, Rolanda, this is Rhonda. First thing I said, how's the kid? She said, everything okay. I said, Rolanda, I left my rings on top of the TV. Can you please go get them for the kids won't mess with them? She said, okay. I said, I'm going to hold on until you do this. I was holding on the phone. Whether Rolanda went in my room to check to see was the rings there or not, I was holding on. She came back to the phone. She said, okay, I got them. I said, okay, everything's okay? She said, yes. I hung up the phone. When I returned home, I say approximately maybe about 2:30, close to 2:45. Immediately as I walked in my door, I seen my table, the glass was broke, Then Rolanda said, the window in the room is broke. I said, the room window. So I goes in the room and I pulls the curtain back. The whole window is busted out, A family heirloom that I had from my grandmother that's passed, that was broke, My rings was missing, all in one night.
Okay. What happened?
She called. And she did tell me that her ring was somewhere in her room. She did say that she would hold while I go in the room. I did not go in that room because I didn't want to be responsible for nothing coming up
Just
missing.
a second.
Okay.
Stop you right there.
All right.
She called. She said, I'll hold on.
I sat the phone
Just
down.
a second.
Okay.
She said, I'll hold on while you go inside and get my rings because I don't want the kids. That's what she said to you.
Right.
And you did what?
And I sat the phone down and sat there. I did not come back and reply to her, I got them.
Yes, you did.
Oh, sure you did.
Yes, you did. That's what the reason
sure
I
you
was
did.
holding on.
Oh,
No.
That's why I was, oh, excuse me.
No.
Excuse me.
Oh, sure you did.
She is lying. No, I did not. My mother is right here.
Let me tell you why you did. Let me tell you why you did. Because it doesn't make sense. It's not logical for you to have then walked back and said, I don't have the rings. I'm sorry. You put the phone down. You said, gonna wait a couple of minutes. You picked the phone up. You said, got him.
I didn't say got him.
What did you say?
I told her I was not going in her room because I wasn't going to be responsible.
No, you didn't.
That's what I said.
Oh, you did. Please,
I didn't
give me a
leave
break.
out that living room.
Give.
Your Honor,
You got
that
my
is
rings.
the truth. I didn't leave out the living room.
Oh, I believe it.
I stayed
How you
right
know the
next door
bedroom
to
window
her.
was
Listen to
broke?
me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Either way,
okay.
You're responsible. She's absolutely right. Either way, you're responsible. She called you.
That's what I
You were
did.
babysitting for her children. She said, I left my rings. Please go inside and secure them. Instead of doing that, you copped an attitude, which I have a feeling you can do very easily, and you said, I'm not doing that. You took the phone, put it down, waited a minute, picked it up and said, I got him.
That's what she did.
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Sure you did. Tell me what rings were missing.
This is the rings right here. I have the things from the rings and everything. They're not even finished paying for. Here's everything for the rings. It's the ones that's
a room at all.
That's your problem.
Circled.
Then you lied.
Here's
No,
my
I didn't.
stuff.
Oh,
for
sure
my-
you did.
For my table.
Oh, sure
I
you
didn't-
did.
I got
How?
the window fixed, but not the table.
How,
but
Your
this
Honor?
is
How did you lie?
Yes.
You lied because you told her I got the rings.
No,
Here
I
we go,
didn't.
right
Oh, I
never
believe you
told her
did.
that.
Listen, I may be wrong. I was wrong once in 1950. I don't remember what it was, but I'm sure I was wrong
And
once
this
in
day,
1950.
too, Your Honor, because I didn't say that to her.
Quiet.
Judge Judy is ready to rule. And later today,
You are so full of baloney.
Am I?
You are so full of baloney. But you're a very quick thinker.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
This case is going to turn out to be a wash, you know. Because I believe that you should have paid for the car, for the damage to the car. I believe that's true. And I believe Miss Attitude over here decided that she was tired of asking you to pay for the car and made things sort of even. Your lawsuit is dismissed. Your countersuit is dismissed because they're just for about the same amount of money. The loss of the rings, the damage to her car, it's a wash.
With me.
That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
All right.
And now the next case.
Parties on Penda versus Crane.